Just over an hour ago, the president was giving a press briefing when the Secret Service came in and scuttled him out. Nobody knew what was going on. News quickly broke there was a shooting outside the White House, and we have some updates, but there's very little information. The president's safe and fine. He came back in, and then he said, "Do I look rattled?" And he didn't. He was very calm. Yeah. So we're gonna go over this, but we'll talk a bit about his press conference as well, because he accused Obama of treason.
Probably treason.
Probably treason.
I mean, those are his words.
Probably treason.
It was probably treason.
And so we'll go over a bit about what he said. He talked about some basics, and we definitely want to give an update on the current information we have as it pertains to the Secret Service. And then we got a bunch of stuff, man. Chicago riots last night.
Yep.
Crazy. Did you guys hear about this? Widespread looting. You know what the craziest thing about it was?
What?
There was one moment where a dude was looting, and the cops pulled up and they said, "Go home," and he said, "You go home."
Seriously?
It's funny,
Wow.
but it shows how little these people fear the police anymore.
I'm not laughing over here.
I personally, no, I think it's funny. I think it's funny.
Oh, okay.
The guy's like, "You go home." It's kind of funny, but it's funny in the sense where it's like things are getting so crazy. I just can't help but laugh at how insanely absurd everything is. You know, like a volcano erupted the other day. There's like tornado warning in Chicago. We got an earthquake in, what was it, South Carolina, North Carolina?
Yeah, the Hurricane Watch has predicted that it's going to be 50% more hurricanes this year than the average. 50% more.
At this point, I'm just laughing. I'm like, man,
2020
could not get any crazier. You know what I mean?
Oh,
yeah.
Don't push 2020, Tim.
Oh man, dude.
Don't do it.
It's gonna be nuts.
It's absolutely. And so
the other thing we definitely got to talk about is I want to talk about mail-in voting.
Oh, that's
because I have to do this. You know, it's a bit harder politics than we normally do, but we do. The COVID relief, man, it's very serious business. This is a lot of what Donald Trump was talking about, the press briefing.
Yeah.
And his previous one. I see all these people that there's a political cartoon where an American family is hanging from a tree branch off a cliff, holding one another with like the kid, you know, the mom, and there's Congress standing up top saying, "Don't worry, we're negotiating." And I saw that, and I see people like these lefties complaining about it, and I'm like, bro, but you know, Donald Trump stepped in with the executive orders to just shut it down. The Democrats were mad about it. The crazy thing was, this blows my mind. That's why I have to bring it up. The Democrats wanted to remove signature verification from mail-in ballots.
It's insane.
That means that if you could take a person could take any ballot, write Mickey Mouse for the signature, and they'd be like, okay, banning signature verification. I hope Trump was being hyperbolic, but we've already seen several lawsuits to end the practice. They argue it's disenfranchising people that their signatures don't look the same.
Who?
I don't know,
Who
dude.
is it disenfranchising?
People who have multiple signatures, I guess.
That doesn't make
like,
any sense.
I'm going to sign with my left hand today. Oh, no, my vote didn't count. What, dude? Yeah, and we definitely got to talk about Chicago, and there's some breaking news on the Jake Paul raid. So we got a bunch of stuff to go through. It's going to be pretty fun. And then at the end, you guys are going to love it. Adam Krigler is going to address a controversy around him cheating.
You know, I do own the rights to the video of me finishing that race, so we can actually play the end.
So I looked up, I Googled Adam, and the first thing that comes up is like that he won the Broadway Bomb longboarding race.
Oh, I won it.
He won it, but then 4 years later they accused him of cheating and removed his name or something.
Oh no, within 20 minutes of like I crossed the finish line, and then the guys behind me crossed, and they were yelling at me right away.
Oh. We'll talk about it.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about it.
We got to talk about what's going on with the Secret Service, man, because this is crazy stuff. Before we do, however, we have a special rule. Do you wanna?
You must smash thy like button.
But why?
Smash it.
Why should
Because you love us so much.
But there's a prize.
Oh yeah. Oh, the MAGA beanie.
Yeah.
Oh, 40,000 likes, and I will don the MAGA beanie.
That's hard to do, man, because it means we have to have more than 40K people watching.
That's true. It's tough. It's not going to be easy. It was 30K, and you guys been knocking that out of the park. It's too easy. And someone called me out and said, you know what? I want a challenge. Make it 40,000. I said, all right. Blame that person.
We did, so we break the show up into segments the following day. So like throughout the day, for people who don't see the show, you get the segments. They pop up on YouTube. And we had one that did really, really well. And it was the one where Adam's wearing the MAGA beanie because it happened after. And Adam, you were thinking that, right? Like people are seeing this and they're laughing and they're sharing it or watching it.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, because you get a special bonus clip, man.
Someone said, wow, Adam's wearing that MAGA beanie and Tim let him wear it.
What does that mean?
Like, Tim let him wear it. I wear what I want. He doesn't control me.
Do they think you come in and I'm like, that's an interesting sweater, Adam. Let's go with the mauve. With the no. I come in and sit down. Adam walks in. I'm like, what's up? He's like, yeah.
I'm like, You better accept this white, awesome hangover sweatshirt ghost stories that I'm wearing. Yeah.
What are they saying? 50K? All right. Well,
40K. 40K is possible. Don't tell me it's impossible. We've had it. It's happened.
Let's see what's going on with Donald Trump. So for those that missed this, Donald Trump was doing a press briefing. All of a sudden, and this kind of freaks me out a little bit. The Secret Service whispers something. Trump leans over, like, "What is it?" And they very slowly go about evacuating.
It wasn't like he was rushed out, so he wasn't under threat. It feels like
duress.
Yeah, it wasn't that. He was like, "All right, we'll go see what the situation is." He just kind of meandered out the room.
Yep.
And that's it.
But the reporter's like, "What's happening? What's happening?"
He stopped talking mid-sentence.
And then I can't remember the guy's name. Who was the guy's name? Is it from Fox? John Roberts? Was that who it was?
Oh, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, Trump's like, you heard it right? It sounded like gunshots, and he's like, yes, 2 gunshots.
And he's like, oh, okay. Good job. You did a fair reporting.
Yeah, I saw your report.
Good job.
Trump was really chill.
Yeah, he was.
Like, he was just kind of like just chilling. He wasn't yelling at anybody. But then he went off on Obama.
Well, he didn't like go off on him, but he kept his chill the whole time. They kept asking him like, "So were you rattled? Like, what happened?" He's like, "There will be a report. I don't have all the information.
Do I look rattled?
Do I look rattled to you? Well, no.
Have you ever seen the video of when someone tried rushing his stage during a rally, and he like spins around really fast and like holding onto the podium?
Oh, I did see that. Yeah.
People see
there's something there.
People see what they want to see, man. And the left was like, "Oh, look, he's freaking out," and I'm like, somebody rushed the stage, and his first reaction was to spin and address the threat. He didn't run, fall down.
Yeah.
Like, he spun around to see what it was. Like, it's a good reaction. And then here, when you have a report of like a shooting outside, and the Secret Service is like, "We have to go," he's like, "Okay." Yeah. He's like very chill about it. I mean, I gotta admit, I'm kind of worried. Look, in the same briefing where he says, what did he say? Probably treason.
Yeah.
Because he's like floated that, the crime, what do we call it, the political crime of the century?
That's what he said, that it was the political crime of the century of them spying on him. I mean, they've caught them red-handed. He said, we caught them red-handed. They were spying. Their campaign was spying on my campaign. And that's the whole reason Nixon got impeached.
The Watergate scandal.
Yeah, Watergate is because he was spying on the DNC. So this is literally them spying on Trump, trying to get him not elected, to try to stop him at all costs.
Yeah, well, what does all costs mean?
Who knows? Lying. I mean, and throwing Flynn under the bus.
Any means necessary or at all costs.
Yeah.
It has me worried. I saw that. I don't know if you guys saw this. There was a video of Bill Barr, and he came out to a bunch of protesters. I think it was a Back the Blue
kind of scary
rally.
Though.
And he was like shaking hands and waving, and I'm like,
taking pictures. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But do you see the agents? They were right there.
Yeah.
They were like hawks looking around. They were probably nervous.
Kennedy had Secret Service, man, but he had the top down.
But it was also a parade.
Yeah.
They knew the route. I mean, Barr was just driving. He's like, "Oh, that's a Back the Blue protest. Come on, well, let's circle back. Let me go say hi to him."
You know that people have tried in the past.
On Trump, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And we'll be careful with the language. That's why this is a crazy story.
Well, wait. 4 days, was it Thursday? He said, "I have rich enemies."
Yep.
And they don't like what I'm doing, so you might not see me for a couple days.
But now he's back at the White House for the press briefing, and sure enough, what happens?
Yep.
We don't know what happened yet.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. Secret Service, we're like waiting for information. Guy gets shot. Apparently, they say he was the suspect was shot and taken to a local hospital. I think that's the only thing we have as of recording this video. So maybe tomorrow or we'll have more information on this. But for those that are watching live, we have this video. You can see the Secret Service came in, whispered to Trump. Trump he walks on out. It was very chill.
Yeah.
But that's probably the smartest thing he can do. I mean, if he ran out, people would be freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
Get really crazy. But considering what he just said when he went to Ohio, we got rich enemies.
Yeah.
Then this happens. There was that story. I don't know if you remember this. Wasn't it like some dude showed up to one of his rallies and then tried grabbing the gun from a security guard or something?
Whoa.
When was that?
A couple of years ago, man.
I'll have to look it up.
So here's an update from the U.S. Secret Service about what happened. They say, update, the investigation into the officer-involved shooting is ongoing. A male subject, so we know it's a male, of the U.S. Secret Service officer were both transported to a local hospital.
Whoa.
So the Secret Service agent is being transported to the hospital also. That's new information to me, actually, also. At no time during this incident was the White House complex breached or were any protectees in danger. So I didn't know that a Secret Service agent was actually being sent to the hospital also.
That's from their Twitter account?
That's from the official U.S. Secret Service
man.
Twitter.
What if somebody... Man, I don't want to speculate too much on that.
Yeah, that's all we know so far.
Were you able to find that story?
Yeah, it was from 2016. He was at a Las Vegas rally.
Yeah.
It looks like some dude tried to grab a gun from one of the agents so he could kill the candidate.
Yep, for the specific purpose of stopping Trump, man.
Yep.
So listen, Trump does got a lot of powerful enemies.
Yeah.
I've been having conversations that kind of freak me out because it's people I never expected to hear from telling me how much they love Trump. I'm not exaggerating. I am not exaggerating, man. Whenever I talk about this, invariably the left is like, Tim's lying and making these things up.
Yeah.
What they want me to do is force me to be like, here's the name of the person who hit me up and said, yo, they're voting for Trump or whatever.
Right.
Because they want to go after their careers. They want to threaten them. And there's a reason why these people are scared to speak up. But I've had shocking conversations, man.
Yep.
To put it mildly.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what really did it?
What?
The riots.
Yeah.
No joke.
I'm not surprised. The Democrats have openly said these aren't riots; these are peaceful protesters. As people burn down their cities, and the Democrats are like, turning a blind eye
or supporting it,
or worse, supporting it.
Yeah.
So we see that, like, Wheeler was walking around, standing in front of the courthouse as they attacked the courthouse, and he's like, "I see nothing. Nothing's wrong here."
This is what freaks me out, and we'll definitely come back to the riot stuff later. Is the idea of by any means necessary.
Right.
What have we seen over the past several years with Trump? First of all, before he even got elected, they were saying Russia, and then Trump gets elected. Russia. We get years of this very obviously fake, and now we're learning
it's all nothing.
And this is what Trump was bringing up with Obama when he said Daily Mail says he accused Obama of treason, but I think you mentioned he said probably. Here we go. He says, look, the Obama campaign spied on our campaign and they've been caught. All right, now let's see what happens to them. But they have been caught. They have been caught red-handed. It's probably treason. It's a horrible thing that they did, and it probably never happened before. At least nobody got caught doing it. But they used the intelligence agencies of our country to spy on my campaign, and they have been caught. There are a lot of people involved, he said.
Oh, and then he goes on to listing a lot of those people, which I noticed they didn't actually list any of the names.
Joe Biden's potential VP?
He was dropping. Well, that's what the original question was about.
Exactly.
So the reporter had asked, what about, is it Susan Rice?
Yeah, Susan Rice.
So what about Susan Rice? That they're claiming that she would basically wipe clear any of this, the allegations when we have actual proof that this has happened. And he's like, I don't know anything about that specifically. And then he goes into that. That's the beginning of the quote here.
Everything they did to try and stop Trump.
Yep.
And it has me worried about how far whoever these, I don't know if it's Democrats or their corporate allies, the people who stand to lose money from these trade deals. Mm-hmm. Whatever the reason is, we got, Adam Schiff, for instance. He published private phone records of an American journalist. And he apparently won the court case. I guess Judicial Watch sued because, wow. Yeah. How can a U.S. government actor get private phone records of somebody and publish it? They were trying to smear John Solomon. He's a journalist. Mm-hmm. Everything they've done, Ukraine-gate, impeachment, they've been desperate to jam him up, shut him down, stop him. So when Trump comes out and says, I got enemies, man.
Yep.
He's got enemies politically, financially, ideologically.
Well, and the media has spun this whole Trump orange man bad thing for years now, that TDS is a real thing. So you get deranged people with full-on TDS, and they're blaming Trump for things that the Democrats are honestly more to blame for.
The official diagnosis is called Trump anxiety syndrome.
Oh, is that it?
It's legit real. Oh. Yeah. Well, I say legit real, but apparently there are some, psychiatrists diagnosing people with Trump anxiety syndrome.
So it's TAS.
Yeah. That's what they call it, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, Trump anxiety syndrome.
Wow.
So colloquially, people call it Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah, yeah.
But derangement is meant to be like a dig at them for being like, they're deranged. Whereas I agree with you. But a clinical diagnosis is going to be like the specific underlying cause. So the anxiety. Yeah, man. I saw a post from a friend of mine, and it said settle for Biden. And then it said it was a picture. It said Joe Biden, and it was like not going to bring about any progressive policy, and then said Trump evil.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, the only people who think Trump is evil are the people who don't actually research anything.
Exactly.
Because I think the most honest place a liberal would come when it comes to an assessment of Trump is he's gross, he cheated on his wife, I don't like his policy ideas, I find him disagreeable or unprofessional, but evil?
Right.
You know what I mean?
He's not evil.
To be fair,
it's ridiculous.
I think where we are, there's still a similar position we're in, because I look at Biden and I'm like, I don't know. I kind of think Biden is evil.
That's a good point. I mean, I've seen enough
biased,
videos of him sniffing kids and like not letting them go, like holding them and being like a weird, like, and then talking about kids on his lap and like just weird, creepy things that he says about children, and it's disgusting.
Beyond that, I would actually clarify and say it's not so much that Biden himself is, but the Obama administration was definitely.
Oh, I'm saying it.
For sure.
That Biden is.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The reason I bring it up is
wrong with him.
Well, evil though, right?
So sure. I mean, you look at his past policies about, basically being for segregation and the crime bill that calling people animals that can't be, they can't come back into society because they're just animals and they need to be locked away. And it's just like, those are his words.
You see what Hotep Jesus tweeted?
What did he say?
He said, the hate for Trump is so real, Biden can say anything about black people and get away with it.
It's true.
Absolutely. Yeah. I saw that and I was just like, man, that is the truest statement I've ever seen. He nailed it. Joe Biden is, Donald Trump's really chilled out.
He is.
I remember like one of the things I personally didn't like was I find it funny when he makes fun of Rosie O'Donnell and when he says these things. Yeah. I do not consider it presidential.
I agree.
But he hasn't been doing that.
Because he's becoming a president. He wanted to be president for a long time. Yeah. And then, when he finally became president, he was trying to do all these things, and he realized how to get the changes that he wanted. He needed to go about them differently. So now that the Trump that we're seeing is becoming President Trump. So the next 4 years, you're going to see an even cooler, calculating person.
Yeah.
He doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. He's got a clear head. He's calm and collected. He knows what he's doing.
He's spent, now 4 years going through the ropes of the legalities,
yep.
the Office of Legal Counsel and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Do you know about that dude in California is a big Democratic donor, and they keep finding dead, overdosed dudes at his house?
Wow, no.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Ed Buck, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, there's creepy goings on, man, over on that side. And when I hear about stories like that, when I hear about Biden's history, but even outside of these things, it's like the Obama administration did a bunch of really, really terrifying things. And that's why it's weird to me that progressives are settling for Biden. I don't believe it. I really don't.
I don't believe it either.
Because I remember during the Obama administration, all the progressives, look, when the RNC happened in 2016, there were very few protesters, if any.
Yeah.
But the DNC had 1,000, 2,000.
What's the definition of a progressive?
I guess, man, it's hard to clearly define. It's a reference to getting rid of cultural norms and advancing society.
Okay.
Progression. It's typically associated with a movement away from tradition towards new cultural ideas and new ways of doing things.
Okay, so there's a positive part about it and a negative part about it.
Well, it's neither.
Okay, I can see that.
So
yeah,
in the past, the progressives were the pro-eugenics party.
Okay.
And they abandoned that principle as part of, whatever their movement is. So it changes. That's why I say it's hard to accurately define. And then what does conservative even mean? I think it's interesting when I see people like conservatives say liberalism is a mental disorder, or that, liberalism is a problem. And I'm like, no. Classical liberalism is the foundation of this country.
Yeah.
I get it, though. What liberal became as a word, as we define it in this country, is something else.
Agreed.
So I look at, it's kind of like a gradient between regular Democrats, default liberal types, all the way to the far left. And the biggest areas are, we have the far left that hates Joe Biden. I do not believe they will vote for him. But then you have these pseudo-progressive Democrat types who just wave the flag, like they wave the banner. They have no idea what's going on, and they call Trump evil. They don't do any research, and they're really hard to talk to.
They just pass memes along. Like, this meme shows all of my hatred in facts that I believe.
Oh, my favorite are like
facts.
I've been seeing it over and over again. Why don't we just put homeless people in houses? God. It's like, hey. Why don't we just give people food? It's like, that's a great question. Why don't we? Where is it?
Yeah, where do they come from? Who
when
does
I try
the work to get it to you?
When I try explaining to people, like, if you put a homeless person in a house, then what do you do? Like, there's a much more comprehensive program that has to go into housing people who are unwell and, mentally ill or unable to work or refuse to. They don't care. To them, the answer is as simple as hit the button, boom, problem solved. Scarcity isn't real, they say. I kid you not.
So TDS is real. TAS.
TAS, Trump anxiety syndrome, I think.
Trump anxiety.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to this Trump being escorted off before we move on.
Yeah.
Robert said he heard 2 shots.
Yep.
So and now we'd found out from the Secret Service that 2 people are being rushed. So maybe the guy shot at a Secret Service agent and they shot back.
Yep. Maybe he was. I don't know, man. I don't want to speculate. Because there's a lot I could say.
Right. Well, I mean, there's a little bit of speculation that we have to do because we don't know everything. But we do know that, someone got shot.
Yep.
And now we found out that a Secret Service agent is also heading to the hospital. And we know there was 2 shots that were heard.
So it may have been
So it's
bang
like they probably
bang
shot
back
at each other. Both got hit. Who knows how badly?
Right now, there was a Twitter trend that said interrupt Trump.
Okay.
Where the goal was to interrupt his press briefing somehow.
Interesting.
And then all of a sudden, shooting outside the White House. Yup. That's crazy, right?
Yeah. Where's that from?
I don't know. You're on Twitter, right? You can pull it up.
Yeah. Where do I look?
In the trends, hashtag interrupt Trump.
Wow.
Was
let's check it out.
Yeah, was popping up quite a bit. I don't know. I say I don't know, but what I really want to say is I got a bunch of ideas, but I'm being very careful not to speculate too much because we're dealing with a very, very serious matter about the risk to the president.
Yeah.
I'm really worried for Bill Barr. Did you see his interview with Mark Levin on Fox News?
I did, yeah.
The things he was saying, I'm like, man.
I know. Well,
utopianists, the Democrats.
Trump said that he's seen the Durham report, and he said it's breathtaking. So we know. I mean, and he goes on to label some of these people that he said were probably committing treason. So and he lists a few people, like at least six names, including Obama's and Biden's, and then he goes on to a few others, and it's just like, oof. He kind of giggles a little bit when he says Comey because I think.
Yep.
You should hear. Did you hear it? The little giggle in his voice.
No.
He was like, "And Comey,"
because he's probably not a fan of that guy.
He's probably the center of it all.
Man, I kind of been feeling like when the mayor of LA said he was going to send utilities company to shut off your power and water if you assemble. I'm like, that's
craziness.
it. There's no constitution anymore.
For them, no. The Democrats, they don't.
No, for anybody.
They don't care.
For anybody. You could be a Republican in LA, and they could come shut off your water, and who's going to... The cops were standing there with him.
That's a good point.
They're going to do what he says. That freaks me out, man. Will these cops just walk up and shut your water... well, not the cops themselves, it's the utility company. But are the cops going to allow this violation of human rights, violation of the Constitution? Apparently so. They're breaking these parties up. Wow. Look what they're doing in Chicago. The mayor, while these riots are going on, she's been spending all her time complaining about people having parties on the beach and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like... You're allowed to assemble, period. End of story. First Amendment says it.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you to send in cops? And who are these cops to go out there and enforce it? Speaking of that, did you see that video from, I think it's from Adelaide or whatever, Australia? The cop choking the woman or something?
Dude, Australia is nuts. Well, I guess it's Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Yeah, they're really cracking down there. And it's
I don't know
authoritarian, crazy, man.
Yep.
So I want to just get back to this.
Right.
I just checked out this Interrupt Trump. There's like a video of the officers like collecting the person that got shot.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
I'm looking at it, and they're just kind of outside of the White House on the corner, and they kind of zoom in, and there's a bunch of cops surrounding it. It's like
from the Interrupt Trump hashtag.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
I cannot find it.
Go down a little further.
Huh?
There it is.
Here it is. Okay, so it looks like we got footage. You sure this is the right one?
That's the one I'm looking at. I mean, it looks like the White House is behind it.
So it's hard to really see what's going on. The police have blocked off the area, but they zoom and it looks like someone's providing first aid.
Mm-hmm. Can't really see it too well, but
yeah. It's probably better we can't because YouTube would nuke us if we actually had.
Good
It's
call.
just people standing around. YouTube, calm down.
Yeah, that's all it is.
I mean, literally.
Just a little context.
Yeah.
For our story here.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah.
And they put hashtag Trump is racist in there. It's like, dude, you got video footage of like an emergency response for people being rushed to the hospital. Chill out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This got me worried, man.
Well, I guess I'm looking at through these, and it's about stopping him from being able to lie to the public. And it's like, I've been listening to his stuff, and then I cross-reference with what's actually going on. Yep. I follow the news myself, so I'm listening to him and going, yes, this is correct information. And then I'm watching the news media twist it and say, that's fake.
Nonstop.
Here's the fake stuff that we're talking about. And it's more of this fake stuff because I'm reading the actual bills. I'm seeing the actual stuff happening with eyewitness reports.
You see what the media did to me?
What? Oh, yeah. Well, I was in here when you were having that stupid conversation.
Yeah. So I'll keep this quick because I don't have anything pulled up. But I tweeted that Bill Clinton was recorded in flight logs, and now he's been ID'd by a victim as being on, the island, Epstein Island.
Yep.
And I said, this is not, there's no one cover. It's not a major headline story. Journalism died a long time ago. News organizations are just political advocacy groups. A fact checker saw it on Facebook and rated it false. And now on Facebook, this tweet of mine appears with a flag that says false information. When you go there, the article actually confirms everything I said is true. Fact. Bill Clinton was in flight logs 26 times.
Yeah.
Fact. Virginia Giuffre Roberts, in released documents, did say he was there.
Mm-hmm.
And what did they do? They added something to my tweet I didn't say. That the flight logs were to the island. I never said that.
Nope.
The point I was making in my tweet was that he was connected to this individual through flight logs, and now he's been ID'd as having been on the island. This should be a major story. He's a former president of the United States, Bill Clinton.
Yep.
So I call the guy, and he's like, "You got to submit an appeal. You got to go through a process." I'm like, "No, I'm not doing any of that." And I asked him. I said, "Is Bill Clinton recorded in flight logs?" That's what I said. He goes, "Yes." I said, "Okay. Did a witness ID him in documents?" Yes. Okay. Is journalism being dead an opinion? Yes. Is me saying news organizations are political advocacy groups an opinion? Thank you. So you've confirmed that my tweet is factually correct in every way. Why would you put this label on it?
Yeah.
That's the game.
That's it.
The game they play is if you say something that goes against their orthodoxy, they will add something to it. Right now, Adam is wearing a gray beanie and a white shirt. Let's do a fact check in the style of how Facebook plays the game. Claim Adam Krigler was seen wearing a gray beanie and a white shirt, and he had a small little stain on the side of his mouth. False. Not true. Then all at the bottom it says, well, it is true that Adam Krigler was wearing a gray beanie and a white shirt.
Mm-hmm.
No one ever said that he was actually having a stain on his mouth. They add something that has nothing to do with anything. That way they can claim it's false. That's what they did.
Do I have a stain on
No, I was making something up.
Some sort of stain.
But that was the point. Yeah. I never said in my tweet that the logs showed him going to the island.
Yeah.
I was trying to make a point about the connections, and now we have the documents released.
Mm-hmm.
They added this. They put hoax alert. Was Bill Clinton logged on in a book flying to Epstein? I never said that. So how now Facebook is de-ranking the content as fake news when it's real, legit information. I get these news organizations trying to knock me down. That's the danger of the game we're playing.
Yep.
So let's take a step towards the let's shift to the election, and we'll talk about this next story because I mentioned this in the opening. Man, it feels like I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it. Democrats are cheating. I got
this is the game they're playing. They're playing to cheat.
So we're gonna read this. Win. Make sure you smash that like button. If we get to 40,000 likes, Adam's gonna pop on that MAGA beanie.
It's true. I will do it. I will pop it on.
All right, but let's check this out. So first, I want to show you this story from WTOP News. 500,000 unsolicited absentee applications cause confusion in Virginia. Apparently, they were sent out. They had incorrect information. They weren't actually from the government. They had wrong addresses on them. So here's what happens. Well, actually, let me read it. Just give you the context. They say absentee voting is more popular than ever this year as the coronavirus pandemic discourages voters from heading to the polls. But about 500,000 people in Virginia were mailed absentee ballot applications they did not ask for and that have an incorrect address on the return envelopes. The applications were sent by an organization called the Center for Voter Information. In a statement from the group sent along by their partner organization, the Voter Participation Center, they said, "We are aware that some of the mailers may have directed the return envelopes to the wrong election offices." Interesting. Now, this to me is a huge red flag. You know why?
There's many reasons, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Go ahead.
You get a random organization sending out what looks like official mail.
Right.
Somebody fills it out. Oh, I want my absentee ballot. They send it in the envelope, put it in the mailbox, and it goes to the wrong place.
Yep.
And now
it wasn't official at all.
They never get their ballot come election time. Mm-hmm. Dirty games are being played.
Oh, yeah.
So here's the interesting thing about this organization. It's a progressive organization.
Of course it is.
That seeks to benefit, first-time voters, minority voters, marginalized people. And they're sending them bad information that could hurt their vote. Yeah. Somebody's playing dirty games on this one. And I'm going to go ahead and say, I can't speak to what this is, but it's just an example of weird. Let me read this. They say this. Any applicants that ended up in the wrong office would be forwarded to the correct one. So maybe it's not that bad. The board said, and anyone who already applied for a ballot doesn't need to do it again. One person stated that a dead person received one and a pet received one, said Deb Wake, president of the voting rights advocacy group, the League of Women Voters in Virginia. We think that they are encouraging people to vote absentee, but they are not helping. It's feeding into voter confusion. So what was the intent? I want to show you a couple things. So Donald Trump gave a press conference. Mm-hmm. He did a press event where he was taking executive action on the coronavirus. He wants to make sure that there's relief for the American people. A lot of people are upset that Democrats and Republicans reached an impasse and could not figure out exactly, how to put forward a bill. So Trump came out and said, I'm signing an executive order to force through the compromise. He mentioned the Democrats included in their coronavirus relief some really weird things, such as banning voter ID, banning signature verification.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
And that, to me, is the weirdest thing imaginable. So I have this here from NTD. It says, Trump said on Saturday that many requirements from the Democrats are irrelevant to the outbreak, including bailout money for states and local governments, articles to ban voter ID and signature verification, and universal mail-in ballots. And now
that's crazy.
I'm going to thoroughly enjoy roasting the media.
Oh, get it, Tim.
So this is the story. It's from NTD. Yes, Trump said it. We have the story here from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. They say, vote by mail. It's an opinion. It's an invitation to fraud. I thought I had another story pulled up. I guess I pulled up the wrong one. But they mention that there's currently a lawsuit in Pennsylvania to alter voter signature verification so that people get a chance to correct their signatures or something like that. I don't think we have it pulled up. But here's what I want to show you. Check this out.
Isn't that it?
No. So this is a fact check from Star Tribune. AP fact check. Trump misleads on mail ballots and virus vaccine. Oh, did he? It was a week of relentless attacks by President Donald Trump and his allies on mail-in voting for the November election, and truth took a beating at every turn. Okay. Fearing a pandemic-induced surge in such voting will work against him, Trump persisted in arguing that fraud is rampant for mail-in ballots, yet quite fine and safe for absentee votes, which are also mailed. There is no functional difference between the two, and both have extensive verification systems. Oh, here's where it gets juicy. Before I show you the juiciest part, I just want to point out, you have to request an absentee ballot, meaning they know you've requested one. They expect you to turn one in. Mail-in ballots being randomly sent out to random people is chaos.
Agreed.
Because we got one here to somebody who doesn't live here, and what do we do with it? So here's the best part. Let's pull up the good old fact check. Here's what they say. Vice President Pence, absentee balloting is perfectly acceptable. You have to apply for an absentee ballot. Signatures are checked. It's confirmed. It's a long tradition. But this universal mail-in voting, where you're going to see literally ballots showered all across the state, is ripe for fraud. I mean, that's a fact.
Definitely.
Here's what I tell people. If one person in a certain area, let's say you have a district of 700-some-thousand people, and 10% go absentee. A fraudster isn't going to know where those ballots are, because it's 10%. So what? Every 10th mailbox, they might find one they can try and steal, but that person's expecting the ballot.
Yep.
And when they don't get it, they're going to be upset. Universal mail-in voting is different. If every single mailbox is going to have this ballot, and there are certain areas that are notorious for low voter turnout, people aren't going to know their ballot's missing, and they're never going to check to see if they voted.
Or when you have these companies that are sending out official ballots.
Official looking
enough that they're like, okay, cool.
Well, applications.
Sure,
right.
Whatever it is, but it's like they're waiting, and then it never comes, and then it's too late for them to actually go out and register. For fraud.
Here's the best part.
Oh, good.
The facts. Thank you, Star Tribune, for bringing us the facts. Trump and his vice president are making a false distinction. Mail-in ballots are cast in the same way as absentee mail ballots, with the same level of scrutiny, such as signature verification in many states. Wait a minute. Signature verification? Didn't the Democrats just try to get that banned with their latest COVID bill? Yes. That's the point.
There it is.
If the Democrats pushed this through, and again, this is me trusting Trump. I did have an article from the Las Vegas Journal Review the other day when I pulled this up, where in May they were trying to sue I believe in Nevada to remove it.
Okay.
And then there is another suit from the League of Women Voters in Pennsylvania to change the rules so that if they find a signature is mismatched, they have to inform the individual so that they have an opportunity to correct it or something. I mean, it can partly make sense, but when I saw that story, I thought to myself, could you imagine, how long is it going to take to actually have an election if they're having to match all of the signatures? And according to the suit, they're like someone who doesn't understand handwriting is going to be looking at both signatures.
Right.
You mean they're going to be verifying literally every single mail-in ballot that comes in? How are they going to do that? That's insane. Now, if they want to add do-overs for people whose signatures don't make sense, we're talking about several extra months of, wait time.
Yeah.
In which case, who becomes president after January 20th?
Hold on, I got it pulled up here.
Grassley?
Somewhere. Yes. Yeah, I think so. Grassley, right?
Because what is he's the what did you call it? You forgot the term.
I forgot.
Adam had looked it up, and it's like it would be fall because I guess Pelosi's up for re-election or something.
Right. So if the elections didn't go through, he would be like the next in line. Someone who's not up for re-election is Grassley, yeah, and
then Mike Pompeo
would be the VP, yeah.
Amazing.
I could pull it up.
Oh man. Well, Adam just pulled up another story, but I want to show you this one too, because even in Canada, they're pushing the same narrative. The facts. Trump and his vice president are making a false distinction. Signature verification in many states. Great. Well, they're trying to get rid of it, okay? Give me a good reason why they're doing that.
Yeah, exactly. What is the reason? Why would they want that? Don't you want it to be secure? Wouldn't you want our election to be a sure thing that we know people are verified? Exactly. Not for them. Well, why? Why? What is the reasoning?
Look at
They're not giving us anything.
Check this out. Look at the game they play. I mention this all the time. That we mention this is the game. Look at this. Pence specifically says absentee balloting is perfectly acceptable. You have to apply for an absentee ballot.
Yep.
Then they say it's a false distinction. Mail-in ballots are cast in the same way. The Democrats want universal mail-in ballots and no signature verification. So no, when Trump and Pence are saying what the Democrats are asking for is absurd, and then the fact checkers come in and say, well, actually, it's the same as absent. No, it isn't the same. They're talking about sending out ballots to people who didn't ask for it and removing the requirement that they match the signature.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to write Mickey Mouse on a ballot they found in a dumpster, and it's going to be counted? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
That is the least secure election we would ever have. Why are the Democrats consistently asking for these things? Because they want to cheat?
Cheat an election.
Because they want to
cheat an election.
There we go.
Thank you, Eric Swalwell, for that fine statement.
It was the president pro tempore of the Senate. That is who he is. Chuck Grassley.
They'll come out and they'll say Nancy Pelosi won.
But how would they prove that? If it's one ballot has all the people you're voting for. So how would they know?
No, it's different.
It is different?
Well, that's actually a good point.
Like how?
You
go and vote one time. There's your ballot.
They could claim that Pelosi's district had everything turned in and it was done in time.
No way. That's ridiculous.
But they could try.
If there's no election and there's election fraud and they have to push it back or whatever happens, it's like that means there won't be a president. That means a lot of senators and House representatives won't be reelected either because either it's fraud and it doesn't work, or it's going to work and we know who's going to be the president. And,
I think it's going to be
who's going to be the new Speaker of the House.
Bedlam.
It's going to be nuts.
You see what Nancy Pelosi said? China wants Biden.
Yeah.
What?
Like
what did she say? Because
where did she get that information too? That's what
it was a public
know.
report. Okay. Intelligence agency said Russia would prefer Trump, China would prefer Biden. I'll tell you what, man. I've heard them say it like Russia's the greatest threat. No, it's not.
It's definitely not.
It's not, man.
No, it's absolutely China.
It's without a question. Like There have been, bad situations between the U.S. and China. I'm sorry, the U.S. and Russia for sure. Flybys, interceptions, things like that. Yeah. Alaska, some planes get intercepted and stuff, for sure. But China is above and beyond the bigger threat to everybody.
Definitely.
It's insane to me that they would even try and play that narrative. So take your pick. Trump, who is, a rough, bullish kind of guy.
But against war, all 100% for America, making us strong here. I mean, Biden's his own son was basically bought out by China over $1 billion.
Private equity deals.
Yeah, it's insane.
So with all the rioting going on, Trump said, this will be Biden's America. And immediately the left was tweeting out like, this is your America. You're the president. They're wrong. Trump deployed federal agents to the courthouse. Mm-hmm. The federal government is secure. Trump cleared out the protests in front of the White House, whether you like it or not. He's absolutely said no dice. But the Democratic politicians in these areas have done nothing. And this is what really bugs me about what's going on in Chicago.
Yeah.
Lori Lightfoot in June said, I don't need leadership advice from Trump. What happened last night? People romped about smashing windows, ramming a car into into the glass. I think it was like a Tesla.
A store window, yeah.
Yeah, and just like backing up, and they're all cheering, one more time. Then you see that video of the dude firing the gun into the Gucci?
No.
Crazy, dude. It's a whole mob, and they're bashing the windows of Gucci. And a guy, someone's filming from way above. He pulls out the gun, and he goes bang, and everyone scatters. Then he runs up and kicks it. It won't give. He goes back, and he goes bang, 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 bang. Walks up and kicks it. It won't give. He hops in a car and takes off.
Wow.
That's Chicago. So I was actually, I was talking to some family members in Chicago. They told me, this has been going on nonstop since May.
Since May.
And I was like, no. Like, I'm talking about the riots. Like, they went up the Mag Mile. And yeah, I was told that there have been small scale, like smash and grabs.
Wow.
Ongoing nonstop. You know why? They're not scared of cops anymore.
That's true.
So I bring this up in that context of like, yeah, if Biden gets elected and we get the same leadership at the federal level that we have at the city and state level, then yeah, that will be that will be your America.
Yep.
Right now he's talking about Portland. Put Joe Biden in, and they're going to be all over the place.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not going to do anything to stop it.
And they like it. The Marxists have admitted that Biden is malleable and will submit to rioting, and they can push him. They're like, we can't do that with Trump. We have to get Biden in so we can manipulate him. Yeah, they said that. Like that's what they're talking about. They're openly saying we can manipulate Biden because he's a pushover.
Where did you what was that other story you had pulled up? The there it is. I see it. It's right.
Yeah,
it's right here.
So this is a new thing that's coming on. Over nearly 20,000 counterfeit U.S. licenses were seized at Chicago O'Hare in the first half of 2020, according to a report. And there was like 6,000 that were just found. I don't know, like a couple days ago. Here's an image. So now we've got all these fake licenses coming in
from China
for who knows what,
and other countries.
We know we were talking last week about TikTok and how China has an incredible resource of facial recognition technology that they're selling across the world. You look at what TikTok is. Now we got fake IDs coming in, and Democrats are trying to get rid of authentication of signatures so they don't have to match a signature on the license. I don't know what's going on, but when you take a step back and look at all this,
they want to get rid of voter ID in the 37 states that mandate it.
Right.
So what is this? You walk in and say,
I'm this person.
My name's Adam. I'm going to vote. And they're like, just press the button. Okay, Biden. Have a nice day. And you walk out.
You know what it reminds me of? You know Gangs in New York? You ever seen that?
No.
So in the very beginning, they were like trying to, there's different, I don't know, the people in charge, and they're like, make sure you vote, like come off the vote Tammany, whatever. And then when voting came, they would be like, all right, put a beard on him and send him back in there. And they'd put a beard on, and they'd go back and vote again and come out and like switch the whole outfit and go back in and vote again. And it's like, that's what it feels like. What you just said, like, hi, I'm Adam. I'm here to vote. It's like, sure. All right, go ahead. Go into the ballot and vote again.
With these IDs, it does look like it might be a people who want to drink.
Okay.
Like younger people order online.
Sure.
You go online, you put in your ethnicity, your weight, your age, and everything.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if it turned out the images are computer generated.
Okay.
Because they got all the facial recognition data.
Interesting.
And then you say, I'm, a 34-year-old male of this, ethnicity, and they generate a picture that
kind of looks like
and you can't really tell. Yeah. So, but listen. I'm not going to speculate. We don't actually know.
I'll do it. I was definitely speculating.
Well, they did tell people, like, don't give your information out on the internet because you don't know what they're doing with it. And it was like a warning to young people. So it may be that they're just, you go online, you order a fake ID so you can go to the bar.
Yeah.
But the barcodes work.
Really?
That's what's crazy. That means they understand how our systems work.
That's a good point.
They can make a functional barcode for your state. That's nuts.
Yep.
And we're getting all this stuff flooded into the country. So I'll tell you what, man. Fraud's coming. Trump's right.
I agree.
Yeah. Easy.
Yep, I agree.
This is not the first time Democrats have tried putting forward, the first time they tried doing COVID relief, they tried jamming in a bunch of non-COVID related things. Mm-hmm. The bill is supposed to be like, here's how much money we're going to give people. We're going to defer evictions and all that stuff, and we're good. Instead, it's like, what else can we jam in there? Some other, just ridiculous nonsense. I'm sorry, man. Getting rid of voter signature verification?
That's insane.
That makes no sense.
Not at all.
There's no explanation for this.
Nope.
None.
Other than them wanting to pave the way to make it easy to choose the election for us. Yep.
They're gonna do who knows what. I remember back in 2018, it's like in the coming weeks after the election is supposedly over, they keep finding new ballots. Oh, new ballots just came in.
Oh, sure, of course.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And just a convenience. It's how interesting they all ended up being for Democrats.
What a surprise.
What I find interesting about that is my understanding is that older people are more likely to, vote by mail. Wouldn't older people more likely be conservative? Why is it that all the mail-in ballots leaned Democrat? Like the hard ballots came in, and like Republican wins, but then all of the Democrats decided to vote by mail instead, and then they all come in. I don't trust it, man. I'm sorry.
I don't trust it either.
I was reading an article that said the same thing Trump is describing did happen in 2018, where the election happens. It should be the Republican, but then they say, wait, we have to get mail-in ballots. And then over the next week or two, they go, oh, look, it's a little bit more now for the Democrat. Oh, a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And then instead of coming out right now and saying, actually, the Democrat won, it's, a week of what a close race. And then, oh, looks like the Democrat just barely won.
Yeah.
And then.
Shady.
Yeah,
shady.
dude.
It's going to happen.
There was an article from the New York Times in 2012. As absentee ballots usage increases, so does fraud. And they said 2% of the ballots were disqualified, doubling the traditional rate with regular, ballots. So why are the Democrats asking for all of these things that will destroy and create holes in the security for our elections? Sorry, man. I think they're trying to cheat. That's all I can say.
They need to, because Trump's bringing the hammer down on a lot of them. He said it today. It's probably treason. A lot of them. Treason is not taken lightly. I'm pretty sure it's the one.
It's death penalty.
It's the one law or one thing in the Constitution that's actually labeled as this is like the one thing that
death.
Will never be allowed is treason.
Yeah, and the penalty is death. Penalty is death.
That's crazy.
For treason.
It's nuts.
But I think the definition of treason would be providing aid to an adversary or something.
Okay.
I think it can be argued based on the legal statute that maybe.
Well, going back to his executive order about the Hong Kong connection, like anyone who's connecting with Hong Kong, and if you're supplying them, we can steal your assets, take your assets, and
yeah,
that means you're aiding and abetting another country to undermine our country. That's treason.
Look, we've had a bunch of evidence leaked to the press about Obamagate.
Okay.
About how, Obama was there.
Yep.
In the meeting with was like Sally Yates, Susan Rice, Comey, who was there? Biden was there.
I think that's
Obama.
who he was listing.
Remember?
Today.
Yeah.
And apparently Comey brought up using the Logan Act against Michael Flynn.
Yeah.
So the gist of it, for those that aren't familiar, is Michael Flynn was the national security advisor to the president, was incoming after Trump got elected, and he was talking with a Russian ambassador. There was an informal meeting at a White House where they were like hanging out at the White House.
Yeah.
And they asked him if he had talked to him, and Flynn said no. And they said, aha, you lied. But it wasn't like a sworn interview. It wasn't an official investigation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then in this meeting with all these high profile people, including Obama, James Comey, I think it was Comey, or was it? Yeah, it was Comey, right? Or was it Biden?
What did they do in this
Mentioned
meeting?
the Logan Act.
I think it was Biden.
Biden.
Yeah, he suggested it. He floated it as the way to get Flynn.
Yep.
Don't they have his own handwriting on one of the letters that's
There's
saying?
a note that says Logan Act ? It's
Right.
it's like Biden Logan Act. Can you look that up to make sure it was?
Yeah, I'll double check because
Yeah, I wanna
Peter
make sure.
Strzok had some handwritten notes too.
Right. Peter Strzok's handwritten notes were like, what's our goal to get Comey fired or to like get him to lie under oath? And it's like
Flynn fired.
Flynn. Yeah, sorry. Right. Yeah, Michael Flynn. So why is the FBI trying to get someone fired from their job? That to me was all. I was like, whoa.
Well, that's what he was saying. They were using our intelligence agencies to spy on them and to basically throw a coup on the now sitting president. Yeah, that's nuts.
Yep.
And we got proof of it. How is it? How you said it in that tweet that they are now fact checking. How is it not major news? How is this not something that everyone's talking about? It's insanity.
Do you know?
Well, I mean, you were talking about Clinton, but which is another big, huge thing that should be like both of these are like massive stories. How isn't it like headline news?
All of these news organizations endorsed Hillary.
That's true. Good point.
The overwhelming majority of news outlets endorsed Hillary Clinton
and are endorsing Joe Biden also.
Yep. How creepy.
It's creepy, man.
There is I don't know what you describe it as, but I will tell you that there's a weird far left white supremacist movement. Mm-hmm. Like, this is the funny thing, because Sargon has been talking about this. He read White Fragility.
Okay.
This woman, Robin DiAngelo, says she's a racist.
She openly admits it.
Yes.
Wow.
And then she talks about how white people need to form a collective and take action and all this other stuff.
So we're supposed to take advice from an actual racist.
Avowed racist.
Admitting they're racist, that she's now a representation for all white people.
And they're the progressives.
That's ridiculous.
The progressives made a racist's book on white collective racial awakening the #1 best-selling book on Amazon. I was talking to my mom about it because my mom knows full well civil rights.
Yeah.
My mom was born before civil rights were enshrined in law. Wow. And like the results of the civil rights legislation in this country, 1964, allowed my mom's side of my family to actually live and to go to other places. Now California's repealing their civil rights law.
It's crazy.
Never would have happened. My family never would have been able to live in a place like that. So it's called Prop 16. It would repeal the law that says the state can't discriminate based on race, gender, national origin, things like that. They voted to repeal it. We'll see what happens in November. But you have the #1 book by this woman, an avowed racist, as I'm told, and you have these progressives. Like I'm telling you, man, this friend of mine, I used to hang out with all the time, and now she's posting things about white collective racial awakening, and I'm like, what is wrong with these people? This is the craziest thing I've ever heard. And they think they're the privileged saviors that have to come together and fight for. I'm like, no, stop that insane white supremacist talk.
Yeah, they're supremacists.
And that's why they're banning these laws.
It's crazy.
Or trying to remove them. And they just line up behind these people, man. But the funny thing is, it's the Democrats. It's always been the Democrats.
Always.
What's up with that?
Well, this whole, theory that the parties switched. No, they didn't. They did not.
Wait. I got to go one for you.
Go ahead.
Do you see that Trump announced he might deliver his acceptance speech at Gettysburg?
Wow, really?
Yeah. So Trump said maybe 2 locations: the White House and/or Gettysburg. And it's really funny. This journalist, this progressive journalist, tweeted, "Why would you hold an acceptance speech at the place where your side lost?" And I responded, "The Republicans won at Gettysburg."
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln was a Republican.
Yup. The Democrats were the Confederacy.
Yeah.
So Trump's a Republican.
Yeah. What
does that mean? And so now it's hilarious. There's journalists coming out slamming Trump, saying things like, he's always been a fan of a defender of Confederate names and traditions or some other nonsense. What? And people are like, you think that him giving a speech at a site of a great defeat of the Confederacy is him honoring the Confederacy?
Yeah. Have they ever heard the Gettysburg Address? Do they know what it's about?
I know.
What?
Dude, I think it's crazy.
It's embarrassing.
It's
getting really embarrassing to watch news.
Oh, totally.
I mean, I don't watch news. I get clips of it from people going, "Wow, here they go again," and I'm like, it's ridiculous.
Do you see the thing about Brian Stelter of CNN?
What about it?
When he was like, "Can you believe that there's a whole media network dedicated to just ragging on Biden?"
Yeah.
And then he actually asked, okay, I could be getting this wrong, but my understanding is that he asked one of the guests, "Could you imagine a network like that, just dedicated to talking about Trump?" And she says, "No, there isn't one," or something like that.
And I was cracking up. I still am cracking up whenever I hear it said out loud. Yeah. It is funny.
Yep.
That's funny.
Yeah. And my favorite part about it was that he highlighted a statement from Ben Shapiro.
Okay.
And it was Ben Shapiro saying something like, Biden is falling apart. He's literally falling apart. And that was it. And he was like, this hate and this vitriol. And I was like, he barely said anything, dude.
What do you know, I was thinking about this the other day. What if, I know this is kind of far-fetched and it doesn't have anything to do with this, but what if it was all a ploy? What if Biden is still sharp? And
that's what I was saying before, remember?
And he's just like leaning into this old man thing.
Bro.
Yeah, you said it.
Willy
when
Wonka.
He comes onto the debate. Yes, Willy Wonka. When he comes out and does the flip.
Yeah.
Like, aha, I'm ready.
Biden's going to, he's going to come out in a wheelchair with a blanket on his lap. And then he's gonna get up and he's gonna be shaking, and they're gonna be like, "Oh man!" And then he's gonna fall over. Everyone's gonna gasp. He's gonna do a perfect somersault, pop up and go, "Ah!" And then he's gonna walk up strong as an ox, and he's gonna be like, "Listen here, fat. I'm gonna talk to you about a million different progressive policies I'm gonna be enacting. Donald Trump's got nothing on this." And people are gonna be like, "Whoa, I wish."
And then he's gonna turn around into his jacket.
No, people are gonna notice he got a long pinky fingernail.
Long pinky nail.
And there's gonna be pictures of his pinky nail. And there's a periodically be like, I've got to fix my teeth. Oh, yeah.
Or just a little precarious pinky ring.
I think
opens.
So I made this as kind of like a half joke, because he talked about choosing Susan Rice as his VP.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, why? Is it because she's about to be indicted by Durham?
Probably.
And then if they try to indict her, they're going to be like, he's interfering in the election by coming after his vice president. Mm-hmm. I think it's hilarious that Joe Biden is accused of serious wrongdoing with the Ukraine scandal.
Yeah.
And his son and Burisma and all this stuff. And they're like, but, he's the potential candidate. I don't care.
Yeah, who cares?
So
we have him with the allegations of Ukraine gate, but we've got him spying on the Trump campaign using government resources.
We definitely need to see the full report. But
okay.
What we can say right now is, according to these notes, it would appear Joe Biden was in this meeting and floated using the Logan Act, which has never been used before against an American, to jam up and sabotage the incoming administration.
Yep.
And he went on TV and claimed he didn't know anything about the prosecution of Flynn. His name is on the list of one of the people who requested the unmasking of Flynn.
Right.
What that means is Flynn, they were spying on phone calls, and they have to redact the name of American citizens because of the Fourth Amendment. So Joe Biden said, I want to know whose name that is. That's unmasking.
Yep.
That means that the U.S. government was spying on the Russians, but because Flynn was on the phone with them, Joe Biden was like, I want to know who that American was. And then they decided to use the Logan Act against. It's ridiculous. The Logan Act is nonsense. It's never been used. It was an archaic law from like the early foundation of the country. It basically says you can't claim to represent the U.S. government. But the reason it's insane is because he was the advisor to the president. The president-elect.
Yeah.
And they tried to claiming that he couldn't. What? That's ridiculous.
Like, wasn't that his actual job?
Right now, it seems like, yeah, they definitely. I mean, look, man, the texts between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, our insurance policy, we won't let it happen.
Yep.
Come on,
We're
man.
We're not going to let it happen.
Yep.
He's not going to win. We won't let it happen.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what?
And then the Russiagate scandal and the investigations and the waste of time.
Yeah, it seriously bogged his presidency down for the past 3 years. Basically, for his entire presidency, he's been dealing with these lies of Russiagate, which is founded in nothing.
So what do you think happens if he gets reelected?
He's dropping the hammer.
Political nuke.
Oh, yeah.
The equivalent of a nuclear bomb in the political world.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that's why they're willing to go to any lengths. Any. I think it's funny, man. Trump said he was going to lock Hillary up,
Yes, he did. He did say that.
And everybody wondered, why isn't he going for locking up Hillary right now?
Because he's playing 4D chess, baby.
Maybe.
That's it. Oh, yeah, dude. He is. He's a calculating dude. He's smart.
Maybe it was he wanted to get as much as he could done in his first 4 years before going nuclear.
Yep, probably.
We don't know what's going to be in that Durham report. We don't really know.
I can't wait to see what that... I can't wait to read that.
Hey, man, you might be disappointed.
Maybe. That's true.
I'll warn everybody of this. I sat through this. All of these lefties going like, oh, man, when the Mueller report comes out, it's going to be the bomb. It's going to drop. It's going to do everything. Trump's done. The walls are closing in. Bombshell, bombshell, bombshell. The Mueller report drops and nothing.
Well,
Rachel Maddow was nearly crying on TV.
He said it was breathtaking.
Yeah.
Trump said it was breathtaking what he's seen.
Did you see the video of Rachel Maddow almost crying?
No.
She denies it, but there's this really funny video of a woman watching TV, and it looks like Rachel Maddow's about to cry.
What was she watching?
She was watching Rachel Maddow. So it's like Rachel Maddow's on TV, and this woman films herself watching it, and she's like, she's crying, and starts laughing.
I thought you were saying that Rachel Maddow was sitting in a room watching herself and crying while watching herself cry. I was like, this is a weird image. How did this what is going on?
I assume most people know who she is, but she's a host of an MSNBC show, and she's been one of the biggest cheerleaders of Trump Russia. Like, there's a famous segment Rachel Maddow did where she's like, Russia could turn off the power in Fargo in the winter. Okay, you're warning people that they might get their electricity shut off by Russia. That's how crazy she was. And then MSNBC had on a guy who claimed that Trump may have been a Russian asset since the 80s. These people lost the plot a long time ago.
Yeah, they did.
And then the report came out, and man, did the color drain from their faces.
When there was nothing.
Everything they put out was lies.
Yep.
Then recently we got the transcripts from all of these people, like I think Brennan and whatever, these people who appeared on TV. And then privately they testified, we have no evidence. We don't know if it's true.
But on TV they were saying, we have all this evidence.
We've seen it. It's true.
So much evidence. Yep. Blah, 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 blah. That's all it is.
It was all fake news.
Yes,
so I say this because right now you got everybody going, oh, man, the Durham report. Oh, it's coming. They're investigating them. Then it's going to come out and it's going to be like, I think to be fair, there's a reason to believe it's going to be bigger than the Mueller report for sure because it turned into a criminal investigation.
I know.
Which means it sounds like indictments.
2 different attorney generals are looking into it. You know, we got the one in Texas. I forget the name doesn't ring a bell, but I mean, AG Barr sent 2 different people to investigate from 2 different angles.
Yep.
So that, I mean, there's enough that they needed 2 different people on it. To go, you know, it's gonna be spicy.
The other day I tweeted Bill Barr is rad.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because
I retweeted it.
I heard a statement about him talking about Antifa, and I was just like, rad. And I was like, Bill Barr is rad.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can go back in time. There's a lot of things I disagree with him on, but you know, the context of it was he's targeting these extremists, these vandals, these destroyers, and I thought it was rad that he was doing it.
Yeah.
And then today I saw this far left reporter, mainstream, hundreds of thousands of followers, impeach Bill Barr.
Oh my gosh.
And
I saw that. I was like, and
then the comments were like they had him testify because they're investigating him, and I'm like, oh, shut up, you people are nuts.
Yeah.
What's funny is they say this. It's a mirror world.
He's a straight shooter.
What we say, it's a mirror world to what they say.
It's true.
We say the Democrats and Biden are evil. They say Trump and the Republicans are evil. We say we got to investigate them for the crimes. They say Trump's got to be investigated for the crimes. That's why I'm telling people, don't get your hopes up.
Yeah.
You know, life can be disappointing sometimes, but we'll see.
True.
I think we might have an October surprise. I don't know if it'll matter.
I think so too.
But will it matter?
I think so. I don't think anything the Democrats do is going to change the Americans out there that are sick of all of it. They're sick of the media. They believe Trump is their champion, and I believe it too. And they're going to go vote. They're going to go out and vote. Nothing is going to stop them from going out and voting.
Yeah, but mail-in voting, cheating.
Okay.
All these weird games they're playing.
I mean, we're going into it knowing, you know, it's like the president is calling them out. We're being investigated. Like we're going after this stuff. So it's not like we're going to be caught blindsided. We see it happening in front of us. We're talking about it. We're letting the world know, and hopefully you guys are all sharing this.
We have a super chat from Kevin McCarthy. He says, Tim, the Flynn call was not unmasked. Comey already had it. That is what makes it so bad. There was another surveillance, either illegal or authorized directly by POTUS and AG.
Whoa.
Well, so there was unmasking, but it may be, if Kevin here is correct, that there was other surveillance. I have heard that. I don't know. You know, I can't say I can confirm it.
Yeah.
There was a report. There were documents released showing who had made unmasking requests. So for whatever reason, man, I don't know. Perhaps there's a lot more to this than we realize. I mean, look. The DNC was accused of colluding with certain Russians to jam up the Trump campaign. That's a fact.
Yep.
It was reported by Politico, the New York Times. A court in Ukraine ruled that Ukrainians were meddling in the U.S. election. Now they claim in the media it's fake news. It's a lie. It's like, what? You know, the craziest thing is Politico ran the story that Democrats the DNC was colluding with Ukrainians.
Okay. And
then Politico ran the other story claiming it was fake news. And so I specifically tweeted out, I'm like, okay, Politico, retract your story then. And they wouldn't do it. And I'm like, pick one. They can't both be true.
Right.
And they would not do it.
Because they don't care. Because they were both getting clicks.
I don't know. I guess because both reporters were like, nope, it's true. And it's a dirty game these media people are playing.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, man. Let me actually see if I can.
So I just wanted to say. So I was talking to my grandmother today. Call your grandmother, by the way. If you haven't called her lately, you should do that. Call your grandmother. So I was talking to her. She's awesome. She's surprisingly. I guess it's not really surprising because like the older you get, the more you pay attention to all this stuff. She's like a firecracker with all the stuff. Like we were just shooting the political commentary back and forth. But I think she's got a little crush on AG Barr. She's like, yeah, he's a straight shooter, talking that. And if she is watching, sorry for blasting you out, but I think it's true.
He's a calm dude. Check this out. I love highlighting this. Ukrainian efforts to sabotage Trump backfire. Kiev officials are scrambling to make amends with the president-elect after quietly working to boost Clinton. January 11th, 2017. Kenneth P. Vogel.
I remember this.
Yeah, but apparently it's fake news now, I guess.
I mean, didn't Ukraine just unmask Biden? He was on a report in January, but it was redacted. And they unredacted it like last month, saying that's actually the mysterious American that they were dealing with is actually Joe Biden.
I don't know about that.
I mean,
I do know.
Who knows? We're seeing this like what is fake, what is real. That's constantly the battle we're dealing with.
Joe Biden's son was on the board of a Ukrainian energy company. His son doesn't speak Ukrainian.
Nope.
No expertise in the energy field, and he was getting paid, by some estimates, $83,000 per month.
Wow, that's a lot.
For what?
For what?
Access to the vice president.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And then
were you about to do the China angle?
No.
Oh, well, I was about to. Go ahead. You go first.
I was going to say, Joe Biden has that famous viral video where he's like, so I told him, fire the prosecutor.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise you're not getting the money. And they said, you can't do that. I said, call the president, let him know. And then he's like, if he's not fired in 6 hours or whatever, you're not getting the money. He's like, well, I'm not going to say it because it's YouTube. We're family friendly. Son of a gun. He got fired.
Son of a gun. Yeah.
He got fired. And everyone said, oh, it's normal that we tie, diplomatic requests. And I was like, wait. It's normal that the U.S. bribes a foreign government to fire a prosecutor in exchange for billions of dollars?
Right.
That's kind of weird to me regardless.
Agreed.
But no, it's fine. It's fine. If the U.S. and its interests are willing to say, we'll give you billions if you fire your prosecutor, fine. The crazy thing about that whole story with Joe Biden is that he claims the prosecutor was corrupt and wasn't doing the investigations. So he had to go. The only problem is the new prosecutor who came in cleared this the Burisma guy of all wrongdoing. Mm-hmm. And then when Trump came in, the dude fled to Monaco.
Oh.
Interesting.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Sounds like Joe Biden is dirty. Tell you what, here's what I want you to do, everybody. You want to figure this out. Not right now, but eventually when you get time. You go to Google, right? You type in Joe Biden or you type in Biden corrupt, but you go to the tools section on Google. Then you go to, it says anytime, you click that. Click custom range and set it for 2015 and earlier. Boy, will you find lots of articles about Joe Biden being corrupt. From the Washington Post, from Politico, from all these outlets.
Really?
Yep. Talking about his family, the soft corruption, how he uses his political positions to grant them all favors and get them access.
Wow.
The mysterious ways that his kids make money and his brother makes money. And then as soon as we enter the political space, Joe Biden is not corrupt. Everyone. Joe Biden is great. There is no corruption.
And then didn't he get put in some board for like some $1 billion company in China or something? Hunter
Biden.
Yeah, Hunter.
He flew on Air Force 2 for a private equity deal in China. So I don't know. The issue with China, you got to understand, is that they'll try and say, oh, but it was a private company. And it's like every company in China is the Communist Party of China.
That's a good point.
It is. Isn't that not?
And if it was a private company in a private deal, why was he flying on Air Force 2?
Why are they using taxpayer resources for this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Now, I'll be fair. I definitely fact check me on all this stuff. This is not something we had pulled a bunch of sources on or anything like that. But,
yeah, we're
but
just
seriously,
shooting the breeze here.
You start looking into this stuff and you start going, huh? Like Trump has weird stuff too. Trump, cheated on his wife. There was a weird report where the Air Force was using Trump golf resorts, like staying in Scotland. Yeah. But like as much as you can say, why is this enriching Trump? Is Trump using this to pay himself? You could also argue, is Trump saving the U.S. government money by having them use his properties instead of using expensive third parties?
Yeah, it's not like he has to pay for it.
I do have a problem with it, though. I think it's poor tact. Even if he is giving the U.S. government a discount, he spends. There's a lot of money spent on Trump's golfing trips. And
we've talked about that. It's like, we mentioned it earlier. It's like he didn't come in and become the president and act presidential. He wasn't a politician for his whole life. He went from being a celebrity, really, with The Apprentice. 20 years basically since 2004 they started The Apprentice. It went all the way till basically he was like, all right, I'm going to run for president. So he went from that celebrity status to becoming the president. Now you see him really maintaining his composure now.
He doesn't understand the political game.
He does now. He's had a crazy crash course over the past 4 years.
So this would make sense if you give Trump the benefit of the doubt. Then you can imagine a scenario where they're like, we're having a bunch of, Air Force men flying, to Europe. They're going to be stopping in Scotland. And then Trump is like, have them stay at my resort, put them up. It'll be great. They'll love it.
Yeah.
It's going to be luxury. These guys deserve it. Mm-hmm. And he thinks he's doing a discounted favor by saying like, yeah, use my company's properties, but it looks improper. Because the money still goes there. And there was talk, I can't remember exactly what it was. He talked about, having his property do like a big, I think it was like the G20 or something, or the G7.
Okay.
And people were like, regardless of whether or not he provides a discount, that's going to cover costs for his business. So it's not about profit. That's why I say it's tactless. He shouldn't have done this.
Okay.
And maybe you're right. Maybe he didn't realize. He thought he was doing a good thing.
But what if the taxpayers were actually given the actual numbers, saying, all right, so say we didn't use Trump's businesses. Say we chose, I don't know, whatever, the Hilton, the top Hilton hotel, and it cost $3 million to do it there.
Yep.
Just a broad number. But it only cost $1 million using Trump's resort.
The argument is that if his business is failing by covering costs through taxpayer dollars, he's saving himself. So even if he doesn't make a profit and provides a discount, it's a benefit to his company and his family.
Okay.
So that's why I'm like, he shouldn't have done it. And apparently did it more than once. But what am I supposed to say? Barack Obama killed an American kid. He killed a 16-year-old American citizen. Am I supposed to complain about Trump putting up Air Force men at a luxury, Trump golf resort? It's not on the it's not a high priority for me.
No, it's
though
not.
I will criticize it, and I did when he did it, and I'll do it now. I look at Joe Biden using Air Force Two to fly to China for private equity deals, putting his kid on the board of Burisma, and I'm like, okay, hold on, man.
Yeah.
Trying to get these favors and stuff like this. I can criticize Trump within certain bounds and be like, he should not have done that, and I think it should be criticized. But you got to look back at the decades of Joe Biden and the DNC. And so that's why I always say I have never been a big fan of Trump. I think he's a funny guy. As a personality and entertainer, I think he's awesome. I think his show, his character, everything he's built, he's fantastic. As a president, I think he lacks professionalism. He's made a lot of mistakes, but he is infinitely better than Joe Biden, who is a disaster, a nightmare, and will lead this country to ruin. That's a little strong, so we should talk about the riots in that regard too.
I think a lot of the mistakes that he made were people trying to sabotage him in many different ways. You got Bolton, for example, just this
what a mistake.
Warmonger, that, and then we even talked about how he came in, and because of Russiagate, he couldn't even fire everybody that he knew was dirty. So he actually had to work with a lot of these people. Like you've told me this yourself. So he had to work with these people because he couldn't get rid of them, because then they would have been like, oh, see, he's trying to get rid of the evidence because of Russiagate, which we now know isn't true. So it's like a lot of these problems that he's had to deal with, he's risen above.
He's cleaned up his act, man. He really has.
Well, and he's cleaning up the people around him, which you yourself told me he had no choice in the matter.
Take a look at this article. Pull it up. You want to read it?
Sure. Bleeding John Bolton stumbles into Capitol building claiming that Iran shot him.
It's from The Onion. It's fake. It's satire, but it's so good.
Oh, man.
Here's what they wrote. Bursting through the congressional chamber doors while moaning and clutching his shoulder, John Bolton reportedly stumbled into the Capitol building, claiming he'd been shot by Iran. Help, help. I've just been attacked by a large Middle Eastern country, around 636,000 square miles in size, said the National Security Advisor, telling those assembled that he'd just been minding his own business when an aggressive Islamic Republic had thrown him on the ground and shot him with a long-range missile. Right after Iran shot me, I heard the nation laugh and say, somebody stop me before I go on a homicidal rampage. It was acting crazed and irrational, and I could smell enriched uranium coming from one of its urban centers. Please hurry. If we move quickly, we might still be able to catch it before it's too late. Upon further questioning, Bolton admitted that the incident had happened so fast that it was possible he'd been attacked by Venezuela or North Korea. This is a joke, and it's remarkable to me that The Onion writes this because it is very esoteric in terms of if you understand foreign policy and you're into politics.
Yeah.
John Bolton's a warmonger.
Clearly is.
So The Onion, amazing. Yeah, Trump made a mistake bringing that guy on, and I think people warned him about it. He's made a lot of mistakes, but I think when I look at Trump, I'll put it this way. It started with stop making me defend Trump, right?
Yep.
And it was like, dude, hold on. That's not true. You're making that up.
Oh, tell me the story you said earlier. Are you leading into that?
No.
Talking about
that? That's private.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I'll clarify just what I'm talking about.
Sum it up. You can.
Just people hitting me up, telling me that like they really do love Trump and they're scared to talk about it. Mm-hmm. But what's triggering their kind of like opening up to Trump is that the media claims everything he does is wrong.
Everything.
And at a certain point, someone's got to say something like, well, it's not possible. A broken clock is right twice a day, right?
Yeah.
So where are the 2 times you're going to, nope, never. They look into it and turns out they end up liking him.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people end up giving him the benefit of the doubt when they realize that how much the media lies. There's so many famous instances. I'll give you a light one first. When Donald Trump was with Shinzo Abe of Japan, and they're like throwing food into the koi fish pond.
Oh, yeah.
Then all of a sudden the camera zooms in on Trump and he dumps the whole thing in. And then everybody makes fun of him. They're like, oh no, he's so dumb. Turns out someone at ABC, I think it was ABC or some news outlet, edited the video in the full context. Shinzo Abe throws all the food in and then Trump shrugs and then does the same. He was following the lead of the prime minister and they misframed it to make him look bad.
Of course.
You know what the craziest thing was?
What?
When a woman on MSNBC said Trump was he was talking about exterminating Latinos.
What?
I kid you not. Trump has never gotten anywhere near to saying anything like that.
What?
In fact, quite the opposite. Trump took a picture of himself eating a taco bowl at Trump Tower saying he loved Mexicans.
That's true.
So it's like the exact opposite, okay?
Yeah.
That's how crazy it's gotten.
Taco bowls are good. You got to admit. They're good.
Let me see if I can find the...
This is crazy.
No joke. MSNBC's Nicole Wallace apologizes for saying Trump was talking about exterminating Latinos. I misspoke. You know what they say about lies, man? The lie travels halfway around the world before the truth can strap on his boots. So she goes on and she says this. It freaks everybody out, and then nobody hears the correction.
Nope, they just spread it around. Now it's probably a meme, a news meme spreading around on Facebook.
This is one of the craziest things I've ever seen happen in politics.
That's nuts.
Yeah, man. Yep.
She should have been fired for that.
Let me tell you something. There have been many instances where Trump has been correct, and that's led me to a point where I'm like, I've always tried to view things rationally and fairly. So when I watched Antifa acting a fool, and I've witnessed it, I'm like, they're acting a fool. When Donald Trump comes out and says something, I don't immediately say, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. I say, let me look into the source and see what's going on. Oh, that was fake news. Like the Very Fine People hoax.
Yep.
A lot of people don't know this. Maybe you guys, I'm assuming most of you know this. Trump never claimed both sides were all very fine people. He was referring specifically to regular people amid a crowd of violence. I'm being relatively vague. The general idea is he specifically said, I condemn, the neo-Nazis, the white supremacists.
The first thing out of his mouth. I get this a lot. Yep. People are like, how can you defend someone who, is okay, that says neo-Nazis are okay? And I'm like, did you just go watch his speech, please? You know what? Fine. I'll tell you. The very first thing out of his mouth is, I condemn neo-Nazis.
Totally. They should be condemned totally.
They should be condemned totally. And I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about it's like the people that show up to march for a protest that they do believe in.
Yeah.
And then the people with the loudspeakers are just screaming. And then because you're standing there, that means you're now privy to whatever they're screaming.
So here's the issue, right? I bring up, Trump and the resorts and using them and stuff like that, and I'm critical of it.
Okay.
But I'm sorry, man. There's more pressing matters than me getting upset that, Trump put out some Air Force men at a golf resort. Like the riots in Chicago, for instance.
Yeah.
In June, Trump offered up federal assistance, and Mayor Lori Lightfoot of Chicago said, I don't need lessons in leadership from Donald Trump. We're going to take care of this. And sure enough now, about a month and a half later, Chicago lights up with insane looting and rioting and ransacking. And we had the story. Check this out.
This is crazy.
So I'm sure most of you have heard this by now. I mean, the story was massive. Chicago is crazy. They pulled up the drawbridges.
Yep.
That trapped people inside.
That's nuts.
And trapped people outside. So check it out. Chicago has an area downtown where the Chicago River comes out of the lake and then creates this like peninsula where you got the lake on one side, the river on the other. They pull up all the drawbridges, and if you're downtown, you're trapped downtown. If you're north, you're trapped north. So imagine, you're north. You're in the Mag Mile. The looting and the rioting breaks out. You panic. So you run south. The bridges are up. You're trapped.
Yeah.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah, it is.
There's still ways you could flee and get out of there, but this was nuts to see in Chicago. And there was an alderman, and he nailed it. Okay, so for those that aren't familiar, aldermen are like local jurisdiction politicians in Chicago. He said, "Where was the plan? How did you not have a plan for this? The mass looting and rioting across this country just happened a month and a half ago.
Right.
So you had no plan to deal with mass looting and rioting. And apparently the looters had no real reason to do it. They made it up. They were just going out there waiting for that moment."
Yep.
Yeah, so now the mayor is saying, "We're coming for you." She's issued a warning to looters who ransacked Chicago in a night of straight-up criminality that saw 100 arrests and 13 cops injured. Dude, this is nuts, man.
Yeah, it is.
They were shooting at cops.
Wow.
Cops were shooting back.
Wow.
Yup. It was war, man. Chirac. And some dude fired multiple bullets into a Gucci window. People were scattering. There's one video where people are walking, and all of a sudden you hear start bang, 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 and people start running and screaming. That's all it was. The funniest thing is, there's a video of a woman looting some kind of mall shop or something.
Okay.
And she's looking for that thing to remove the security tags.
Yep.
And then she yells like, "I can't breathe."
I can't breathe. No, she's running around trying to find the keys.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't breathe. Oh, man.
It's brutal, man.
Yeah, it is.
So, look.
Dang, I didn't know that.
Look at this,
I didn't know they were
right
in
here.
a shootout with the police.
Yeah, dude.
That's nuts.
Yep. And there's one video of a cop slumped over. We don't know what happened. People.
Wow.
Yeah, he may be shot. We don't know. Getting first aid.
Defend the police,
13 cops injured. I mean, look, man. I gotta tell you, it is a crazy world when you get me defending CPD.
Agreed.
I've had a lot of bad interactions with Chicago cops. They've had a bad history, but this is beyond the beyond. Look, I get it, man. I've actually had some good interactions with cops. I've had a cop save me from a mugging.
Yep.
But I've had more negative interactions than positive ones, and some pretty bad interactions. But this is nuts. I can have beef and be like, I'm annoyed with the police for certain things.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to the cop who saved me from that mugging for sure. But this is crazy. Look at this right here. This is some dude using, I think he's driving an Audi.
Yeah.
And he smashes through the window. People were cheering.
How'd you do that to your car?
I guess I don't know, man.
Chicago
riots.
are nice.
I remember back when the White Sox won the World Series,
mm-hmm.
It was crazy, dude. The riots were nuts.
I thought that when the Cubs won, it was going to be crazy riots.
It wasn't.
But it really wasn't that nuts.
Just walked down. Some windows got smashed up.
True.
But that was about it.
But the parade was I think it was the 7th or 8th largest human gathering in history.
Wow.
Yeah. It was
crazy,
dude. 7 million people showed up.
These people. Nuts. So I was talking to my family about this. I got family in Chicago.
Yeah.
And they're saying that no one fears the police anymore. They know the cops can't touch them because
messed up.
The viral videos will spark more riots, and they feel untouchable. You got we got tons of photos, man. It was a wild and crazy night. And I bring this up specifically because if Mayor Lori Lightfoot in June said, "Thank you, Mr. President. I am honored and humbled by your offer of federal assistance to deal with our crime. We look forward to working with your offices and your law enforcement officers.
Yeah.
Let us know who we can contact to organize an appropriate, enforcement action." That simple.
Yep.
Professional and calm. And then she could have called and said, "Here's what we want to do. We want your federal officers to follow the requests of our local office, local supervisors who understand the context.
Just go help."
That's simple.
Clearly need help.
That's simple. So right now what's happening, is my understanding, is what I'm told by people in the area. The Operation Legend, the FBI agents, they're doing desk duty, and that allows more cops to be on the ground doing police work.
Oh, okay.
So Trump's not sending people in to go police the streets. They're just filing paperwork. All she had to say was, "I appreciate the offer for assistance. Let's coordinate." Done. And now what do we get? After mass looting and rioting, and them, they're ransacking stores, they're shooting at cops are getting injured, 100 people getting arrested. She looks like, man, what a dumb mistake.
Definitely.
Really dumb. It's here's what I don't get. If they hate the president so much that they would let their cities burn just to claim they oppose Trump. That is a toxic political situation.
Agreed.
So you've got one political party in this country that is dedicated to watching everything around it crumble. It's a kid having a temper tantrum. Basically. I'll hold my breath.
Yep.
So because you're mad, you're going to hold your breath. You're the one suffering, not me. Go ahead, do it.
And then the police chief, the superintendent David Brown, and Lori Lightfoot went on a press conference today, and he's talking about, the cops, the reason they don't have any, not the cops, but the people that they're arresting are just being let out.
Yep.
The judges aren't doing anything. They're just releasing them all.
Kim Fox,
go ahead.
The DA, has released 25,000 people.
That's insane.
She's dropped 25,000 felony charges against people. It's a near 35% increase from the previous DA.
Wow.
So to your point.
So he's sitting here saying that, like, the police officers are doing their job. It's not even the police officers anymore. It's these the rest of the system that's just letting them out. So there's no accountability. There's no consequences. So no one's afraid anymore, like you were just saying. And so a reporter was like, well, it sounds like you're saying that they're not doing their job. And the Mayor Lightfoot walks over like, whoa. Excuse me. Don't bait us. Don't you bait us into this.
Yep.
It's like, that reporter was right. They aren't doing their job. They're letting them out. The cops can't even do their job anymore. The people are like, whatever, I can do whatever I want, and you can F off, cop, because I'm just, they're not even charging us all. They're just letting us go.
Let me tell you about Biden.
It's your fault, Mayor Lightfoot.
Yeah. And she gloated in it.
Yeah.
She wanted to mock Trump. There could have been ATF, or there could have been CBP or ICE, and there could have been on the ready, waiting at the command of local cops, local superintendent, chief of police, saying, "Here's what I need you guys to do." And they say, "You got it, buddy. We'll help you out." Trump offered that assistance. They denied it. So let me tell you about Trump's America versus Biden's America. Okay, Mayor Lori Lightfoot hates Trump so much that she's willing to let the city burn, have no plan, and reject Trump and insult him for it. Okay, let me show you something. Jake Paul. Yes, famous YouTuber Jake Paul had his home raided, and they did it because the FBI agents were searching for video evidence of Jake Paul's Arizona mall looting incident when they raided the YouTuber's Calabasas mansion and emerged with assault rifles.
You called it.
Here's what I said. What specifically are you referring to? I don't want to.
I'm saying that you called it, that they were looking in his house for footage.
Right.
Of what was going on.
So the feds see video of Jake Paul in a riot, and they say, "We're going to enforce the law," and they've gone after him. They are going after people like crazy. They're giving they're it's legit.
Yep.
What we saw with the NYPD, this dude tried cutting NYPD brake lines. It's alleged.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And so the local judge released the guy with no bail. So the feds immediately come in, lock this guy up. And now it's being upgraded, I guess, to federal charges, probably because the DOJ is like, these local jurisdictions keep cutting these people loose.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and not only cutting them loose, like in NYPD, for example, they were responding to an 11-year-old getting beaten. Yeah. And they showed up in en masse to help. And then a huge group of people started saying, "Get out of our neighborhood." And started tossing stuff at them, and they had to retreat. So these cops are getting their authority stripped for them, and it's going to be lawless land before no time. It's like, these people have no respect for anyone, let alone police officers.
You can't do it. So here's what's happening. The reason why I bring up the Jake Paul thing, it's not just about him. The FBI is investigating, which means that video footage that Jake Paul has, it's going to be able to identify a bunch of other rioters and looters. Now, whether or not that's what they're going for, that's what it looks like. They're looking for evidence.
That's a good point.
They're going to look. This is a guy who's probably got HD footage of this.
Yep.
He knows how to make a video, and now they're going to be able to look at all the people who did this, and they're going to let them know we are coming for you. Meanwhile, in Portland, night 74 of the riots last night, and what happened? Cops got injured, burned with mortars.
Yep.
They're marching through people's residential neighborhoods with bullhorns, yelling, if we don't, no justice, no sleep.
Wait, Tim,
something like that.
I thought it was about the feds being there.
Yep.
I thought they were saying that because the feds were there, they were there. And if the feds would leave, they would leave.
Lies.
Yes.
And now Trump has said the National Guard should be deployed in Portland. And I see that, and I'm like, well, you know what? They had every opportunity to accept federal help to deal with these. They didn't do it. They're marching through residential neighborhoods. It's only a matter of time before somebody loses their life over this.
Definitely.
They attacked some woman at her house. There's a video of them on some dude's property, and he's screaming, "Get off my property!" And they ignore him. They don't care.
There was that. They're
on his back porch.
That viral video of a group of Antifa showing up to some small town, and everyone showed up to get them out, and they ended up pummeling these guys. Like,
oh yeah, dude,
where was
Fort
that?
Collins.
Fort Collins, yeah.
And how did TMZ frame it?
Oh goodness, I didn't see
TMZ
this.
said
What?
Black Lives Matter protesters like brutally beaten by pro-police.
Wow.
Yeah, something like that.
That's ridiculous.
No, here's what really happened. Antifa tried acting a fool in a Fort Collins neighborhood, and so a bunch of locals came out and said, "Get out of our neighborhood, commie scum."
Yeah.
Antifa started backing away, and then somebody on the Antifa side attacked a guy in a wheelchair, so the dudes were like, "Nope," and they wailed on this guy.
Yep.
And you know what? You attack a guy in a wheelchair, they're gonna defend themselves. They're gonna defend this guy, and so these guys got stomped out, and the cops came in, and then the Antifa started fighting with the cops. Of course, TMZ said Black Lives Matter protesters brutally beaten. It's like, dude, come on, man.
No, in that video, they were very aware.
It's true.
They were like, look. We have a kids party over here. We got to lead Antifa this way, so they can't get anywhere near the children. You know, it's like they were wise. They knew what they were talking about. They were clear-headed. These guys were just getting them out of the neighborhood, and it's like they clearly didn't like it.
No. But you know what's interesting? That Antifa is going to these areas where they don't live. It's like they're trying to terrorize local residents.
Trying.
In Fort Collins, they failed.
Okay, good point. We have
quite the opposite. They got terrorized.
That's true.
It's not fair to say that though, because the locals were just defending their neighborhood. But I remember when the riots broke out, my family in the Chicago suburbs were saying people from outside their neighborhood were demanding the right to protest in their towns.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing in Portland is they're screaming things like fire, gentrifier, and no justice, no sleep.
Yeah.
So they're bullhorning in people's houses, waking them up. There's one video where they're outside an apartment yelling, "We're going to burn your building down. We know where you live." They say something like, "If you have to wake up in the morning, you've been indoctrinated by capitalism."
Wow.
These people are nuts.
That's most animals, unless you're a nocturnal hunter, go to sleep when the sun goes down and wake up when the sun comes up. Listen. It's not for everyone.
When these people talk about scarcity being fake and how universal basic income and all these things, I'm like, dude, we are not yet across the barrier of post-scarcity.
Right.
I'll tell you what, man. We get to the point where we got Star Trek replicators.
Can't wait.
Then I'll listen to your argument about, free resources. If we invent Star Trek style replicators where you could walk up and go, computer, double cheeseburger, extra bacon, and a side of sweet potato fries with a large Coke, and then boof, it just appears. And we have that, but they're withholding it from the people, I will protest.
Yeah.
I will demand my replicator.
Yeah,
I will say, hey, no, I want. But we're not there. That's not reality. That's science fiction. So if there's a finite amount of resources to go around, then we allocate them in this way. I do think we're getting to a point, though. The reason we're seeing this is because we actually have the resources to sustain people who do nothing. These Antifa people literally do nothing. Their work is organizing. Organizing what?
Yeah.
Chaos? It makes no sense. Right.
Yes.
So if people were occupied, what's the saying? Idle hands are the devil's playground. Is that it?
Good.
That's the saying.
Yep.
Boom, there it is. So they have nothing to do. They're bored. And because of this, they live in this fantasy world. So we are getting to this point where it is becoming easier and easier to produce food, which keeps people sustained. And we actually now we're starting to have fat homeless people.
Well, that's if the wheels of society keep rolling, though.
Right.
Which I don't know if you noticed, the economy has come to a big, huge halt lately.
I got no problem farming.
Neither do I.
Or
hunting, for that matter.
A good day of hard work is obviously no problem for me.
That's true. You don't ever stop working.
Nope. 16 hours a day, every day, no days off.
I love chopping wood.
Man. We had a bunch of wood in the back. Adam would just go out for fun and go chop it. I'll tell you what, man. If we enter a post-apocalyptic, world, I'd have no problem waking up at the crack of dawn and going and tending to the fresh crops and the animals. It'd be a lot of fun. These people, however, no, they're gonna cry.
Well, and they're claiming they're going to the Sturgis rally.
Yeah, right.
And they have thousands of people show up. And they're bikers, and they don't mess around.
But those guys are gonna be disciplined. They're not
the people that show up, or
no, the Sturgis guys.
Yeah,
the biker dudes.
Yeah, they are. They're
dude.
They know what they're doing. But
you
don't show up there and try to do something though.
It's like the saying about when you're at a bar, the guy who's talking a lot of smack is not the guy you want to worry about. It's the guy minding his own business who's quiet and chilling.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of. I'm sure you'll get some rowdy dudes at like a Sturgis rally who will definitely throw down immediately. Yeah. I'm sure most of these guys are going to be like, little boy, this is not the time and place.
Yep,
exactly. And they're going to be like, you can go out that way because you do not understand. They don't understand. These anti people, they don't get it.
They don't. They live in a video game.
I would love this. And I've actually offered a lot of people this, a lot of these lefties. an opportunity to go to a place that they that they've been concerned about to actually experience and talk to people, and they never take the offer. Like I know a dude in Chicago who's always complaining and like, pro Black Lives Matter and all that stuff. And I was like, how would you like funding to go and shoot a video in one of these neighborhoods and talk to the locals about how they feel about what's going on? Gone in 2 seconds. You know why?
Why?
They live in Chicago. They know what these neighborhoods are really like.
Yep.
And they know that they're not welcome. The things they claim are not true. I offered one guy one time, I said, how would you like to go and actually cover some news in Israel? Like, legit, do some interviews. Gone. You know why? Because they know all of the complaints they have. Once they actually go on the ground in Israel, a bunch of regular people are going to talk to them about the conflict and the complexities, and their narrative and extremism falls apart. Yep. They never want to actually do it. It's not just that, though. A lot of these people talk big, how they're all tough, and then I'll say, like, how would you like to go on a camping trip? Gone. But I like living in this city with all these free and easy things that are readily available to me.
Yep.
Think about this way. This is what's crazy. Imagine living in the middle of nowhere, 10,000 years ago. Where's your water coming from?
You would know.
How
if you were alive 10,000 years ago,
but
you would know.
No, let's say right now, you got transported. Boom, 10,000 years in the past. You got to find water. Okay.
I know where a stream is.
Once you find it, all right, how do you clean it? You got to make fire.
Well, no, 10,000 years ago, our the biomes in our belly would be able to handle the water that we'd be used to.
I'm just saying you right now.
Oh, I'm physically transported in the past. Right. Oh, man.
There's no opportunity to find a city. You've got to survive. The reason I'm saying this is the people right now don't realize going into the bathroom and turning a knob and fresh, clean water coming out is the luxury among luxuries.
And your excrement goes away.
Pooping in the toilet.
Where does it go? Where does the poop go? You don't have to worry about it. That's the world you live in right now.
No digging holes, no burying it.
Yeah, clueless.
But here's what people also don't realize is that you back in the day, everything you did would leave a scent. They're predators.
Yep.
So if any one of these people were just dropped in the middle of the Yukon Territory or something, tundra as far as I can see, they'd be like, wow, I really am wealthy with all of the gifts of modern society.
Yeah, it's true. I actually am a big fan of those living in the wilderness shows.
Yeah, man. You ever watch Ancient Technology?
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
Absolutely.
He makes a mud hut.
Yep.
And he gets clay and then he sets a fire. Mm-hmm. He created a stove to heat it. That dude is amazing. Those are awesome videos. See, here's the thing. I love that stuff.
Yep.
I love building. I love planning. I love solving puzzles. I love working hard on whatever I have to do to make something succeed. These people don't. They're the opposite. They're the inversion.
That's true.
They go out and they destroy and they complain.
This is the world that they think is the norm.
It's
not. It's not the norm.
It's what I say a lot about the bridges in New York.
Mm-hmm.
They don't realize there's what do we got? We got the Brooklyn Bridge, Manhattan Bridge, the Williamsburg Bridge, the Queensboro Bridge, the Washington Bridge, Tappan Zee, Verrazano.
Yep.
Man, you got a lot of bridges. You got the Battery Tunnel, the Lincoln Tunnel. Yep.
Yeah,
all of these things that get you easily in and out of Manhattan Island were extremely expensive, and it took ridiculous amounts of managerial power and manpower to build.
Yeah,
but these
engineering minds that created it too.
The math and everything. These kids wake up one day and it's there for them, and they don't respect it.
This is what life is like.
Yep, it's just there. I remember, I'd be hanging out on the Lower East Side of New York by the river, and I'm looking up at the Manhattan Bridge, and I'm just like, what would it have been like if there was no bridge there? Who built this? How much money? Who did all the labor? And I think back I was watching Return of the Living Dead. You ever see that movie?
I think so.
It's from the 80s. And it's I don't know, it's from 1984.
Is that Bruce Campbell?
No. Return of the Living Dead is just a zombie movie.
No, I don't think
it's a campy old 80s zombie movie. It's great. I love it. I'm watching it, and there's all of these people doing things. And I thought it was funny, because this is a normal human thing. I was like, these people were making this movie before I even existed. A couple of years before I existed, civilization was a thing. It's a funny concept because these people don't understand that in their minds.
It's true.
They don't realize we are all standing on the shoulders of giants. We are sitting beneath the shade that was planted by people who knew they would never get to sit beneath that shade.
Yeah, and that mentality is gone.
At least among these people.
You're right. It's crazy. I hope they come around because we can lose it. I forget who said it, but we're only one generation from total annihilation, basically. If we give up and everyone just focuses on themselves, then who's gonna pick up the mantle?
I think, one thing that really worries me is this can't last forever. The way we live, the chaos, the politics, we need survival instincts. We need responsibility. Otherwise, we will not survive.
It's true.
Because we're not yet at the point where we have replicators. We don't live in one of these Wall-E spaceships where everyone just floats around on little hover chairs and they gain weight all day because everything's taken care of for them. We don't live there.
Yeah.
We really are tricking ourselves into believing we've conquered the world.
Right.
And we didn't.
Yeah, the fear of not living is gone because of the comforts that we now provide everyone as a baseline.
Yeah.
There's no fear of I'm not going to be able to, my son might not survive because my house might get burned down, or, in a war. Well, like, we don't see wars, physical wars anymore. Like, when was the last time America was in a physical war here?
Good times make soft men.
No one sees it here,
So that's what I'm saying. If we want to get to that point where we do have a Star Trek-like future, we have to have the drive to survive. But now we're losing it because people think the game is over and we've won.
Right.
When we haven't.
No, we're not.
So that brings me to this fear that with a potential conflict with China, we're going to see mass casualties. And I mean mass as in, man, you have not seen the level of death that I worry about sometimes.
Yeah. Well,
millions.
Yeah, I know. You're right.
Yeah, millions of people maybe in the event of, like, we're really lucky, but we haven't had one of these great disasters of the past because we really have done a great job.
Yeah.
Solar flare.
Well, and
when's the big solar flare coming?
Well, I mean, right now the sun is relatively dormant as far as solar flares go, but really, you think about the societal wheels that are moving around that give everyone food. We can go to the store and buy food. If all that food suddenly, if the wheels stop working, to get them churning enough for everyone to have all of the stuff that they're used to going out and buying, if all that disappeared right now, we would see mass starvation.
Bro, and they will be eating each other in the streets.
I know, and that is a scary premise, like, to think about it. Like, we've been down, the economy's been shut down for 5 months now, 6 months almost. Jeez, it's like, how are we going to bounce back? It's not going to be a quick bounce back.
No.
And the food, I'm not saying it's guaranteed that it's going to be gone, but I've shopped lately and they don't have 100% of what they've used to have.
Truckers don't want to go into cities that defund police.
And you got that.
Yep.
Now, if you're in a city, you got the truckers that are like, I'm not going in there.
I don't blame them.
Trucker's been pulled out of his trucks and beaten to death.
I was talking to a cabbie a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it's crazy. A couple of years ago, life was just peachy, and I mean, whatever. We had it was still Trump, and the media was crazy.
Yeah.
But it was like I can't remember exactly what it was. I was in New York, and I was talking about how condensed the city is, and I was joking about how people don't realize, New York's a crazy place to be if the world breaks down. Yeah. And the cabbie was like, "Man, these people, give them a couple of days, they'll eat each other and drink each other's blood." And I started laughing, and I'm like, he's right, dude.
Yeah, they are.
If like the tunnels get shut down, or or the bridges are shut down or something, people are trapped in the city. They have nowhere to go, and there's no food. What are they gonna do?
I'm hearing an Alex Jones quote in my head.
Oh, what? They'll eat their neighbors.
Yes.
I'm half joking, to be honest, because I think most people would just leave the city.
But if you just said, though, if they don't have a place to go and the bridges are all shut down, they can't cross the bridge.
Let's say the bridges and they're fine, because the bridges are just roads.
True.
We could walk across them. There's no.
Okay.
Some of them have tolls. All right. Let's say this. Let's say right now, food stops coming into New York, and the water shuts off. Everything's shut down. You got 2 million people on the island. What do they do? Well, a lot of them are going to get in their cars, the ones that have them. Many of them don't. And they're going to drive out of the city. There's going to be mad traffic, and then people will eventually run out of gas. Then you have a bunch of people walking around looting and looking for food.
Yep.
Within a few days, the food is gone. Then what happens? People will start fleeing the city in random directions, but they got to eat. Man, what's really crazy? Think about this. War. When all of the troops in, say, like the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, are marching through fields, you got to feed them.
That's true.
How do you feed a group of, thousands of people who are like, in various areas walking around? Food's got to be brought in.
Yep.
People got to eat. And they can go quite a bit, a long time without eating. But maybe if you're on a boat in the middle of the ocean.
Well, they can't go that long without water.
Yep.
I mean, they still need to be supplied water.
Do you think anybody in New York knows how to source water if the water got shut off?
Definitely not.
Nope.
Definitely not.
And do you think people are just going to lay over and just be like, well, I guess I'll die? No, they're going to become ravenous, dude. They're going to be like, I will do anything. Like, you ever like not eat for a while and then finally whatever you ate tastes just so good?
Yep.
That's what it's going to be like. These people are going to be like desperately thirsty and hungry and willing to do whatever it takes to not die.
Jordan Peterson talks about some terrible things that have happened in the past that many people are like, well, that'll never happen. And he talks about the Bolsheviks and,
the Holodomor and stuff.
Yeah, just in what happened back then. And he's like, you never know what you're capable of until you're there. And we are not there. And most people have no idea how terrible it can be. It's shocking what he's talking about. I don't want to get too crazy into details because it's sickening. But these people are eating each other.
Yep. Right on, man. Well, how about we read some super chats?
Sounds good.
Before we do, make sure you smash that like button because we're about 2,235 likes away from Adam putting on that MAGA beanie.
Smash it.
MAGA beanie.
I will get the Hulk hands too.
Hulk hands ready. Couple thousand more and Adam puts on that beanie, but let's read. We got Ian Hall here. He says, Space Jesus does look good in the MAGA beanie, but General T. Poole of the 1st Division of the Salty Army, please use this to help with legal fees. Them editorializing a post with libelous material sounds to me like a Section 230 breach. 2 birds, 1 stone. Yes, claiming that my post was false was an editorialization that Facebook put on the post that is actually factually incorrect. So if Facebook wants to accuse me of putting out false information, I take offense. And it's a threat to my business, and I think Facebook is responsible because Facebook made the statement.
Yep.
It's Facebook who made the statement. That's them. We'll see what happens.
Drop the hammer, Tim.
Christopher Stoltz says, I love what you guys do, but it's callous to always blame the Dems. Both parties have changed countless times over the years. Why not support disbanding the two-party system? It's why I voted for Trump and might vote for Joe. That's how we got Lincoln the first time. The Democrats right now represent the establishment, and the media is their ally, putting out this information. If Trump wins, then perhaps the establishment is done, and then we could have a new left-wing party or a third party, and that's the path towards actually, taking care of things. Oh, we hit 40K. So that's why I think right now we've got a weird fringe, far-left, white supremacist ideology that I must, because of my family, I have no choice but to oppose it. And it's reached the highest levels of culture and the Democratic Party. I don't like Republicans. I think Lindsey Graham is awful. I think they're feckless. I think they had every opportunity to stand up for what was right when they controlled every branch, and they did literally nothing because they were crony establishment players as well. And when Trump wanted to pull our troops out of the Middle East, only 8 Republicans and 3 Democrats actually agreed with him.
Yep.
So yeah, you're right. We do need some way to get rid of this. So right, Trump. A vote for Joe is a vote for the establishment. You will give them the keys back to the castle, and they will kick out, Trump, and that's a restoration to the two-party system. So I'm not.
And you talked about how a lot of those Republicans that were establishment left, right? They were.
Yep, they retired.
Yeah, they retired out. They're like,
a lot of them are losing primaries.
Yep, exactly.
Same thing is true for the Democrats.
Those people are out. That's why I've said multiple times, I'm not a Republican just because I'm voting for Trump. I'm not a Democrat either. I'm an American that just wants the best for America. And I think America is paving the way to show the rest of the world what it's like to be free. There's nothing wrong with that.
Here's what's going to happen, in my opinion. The Republican Party is going to be, it's going to have liberals and moderates and conservatives. And the Democratic Party is going to become the socialists.
Yep.
And so people like us will find out that in the future, the old school Republicans, the religious stuff, the pro-life stuff will probably start losing a lot of power. In terms of their absolute, in terms of being absolute, they'll be more compromised. And the party will become a big tent for those that just don't agree with socialism. That's basically what it already is. You get rid of these old school Republicans and establishment Republican types, which they're falling out, retiring, losing their primaries. And you're going to end up with populists. Yeah. And then the left is going to become left-wing populist, which is very socialist. And there it is. That's what. High Ground says, CIA can't spy inside the U.S., so you get a foreign intelligence agency to spy on General Flynn. Yep, that's one of the ways they play it, the Five Eyes Spy Club. Adrian Marie says, I live in Wauwatosa, and my suburban home is 3/4 of a mile from where that attack happened. The mayor is terrified of the mob and will do anything to make them like him. They have closed malls, streets, and town halls to scare him into doing what they want. The far left showed up to a police officer's home, started vandalizing it. When he came out to talk to them, they physically attacked him. He retreated inside. They went around the back and they fired a shotgun blast through the door, almost hitting the guy. That's how bad it's getting.
That's nuts.
And that's what the super chat is referring to. So I hope y'all are paying attention, man. I got a super chat here, but they asked me not to read it. So
defend the police, though.
To defend the police?
Defend them.
Yeah.
We got to defend them. They're there for us. They're there to help us stay safe.
And I'll tell you this at the same time, these cops in these cities that are enforcing unconstitutional law or edict, that's not law, need to stop as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, because I'm all down to be like, most of the cops I should say, I know most cops are just regular people. They're doing their job. It's a tough job sometimes. I have negative interactions, but I understand. So I always just, I always tell people, listen, it might not feel, you might have to swallow your pride because you got to comply with the cops' officers.
Yeah.
You deal with complaints you have after the fact, but when a cop stops you, you say, I do not consent to this search. I want to answer questions without a lawyer present. You put your hands behind your back. You get on your knees, put your hands up, all that stuff, because that's how we keep things in order. And sometimes it's bad. It is. So, but I'll recognize most cops are trying to do the right thing. There are bad cops, though, and there are callous police, but the banality of evil, essentially. So I'll say this, man, I will defend the police as an institution because I think they're overwhelming good for society. Of course, it's kind of an obvious.
Agreed.
But we also need to make sure the cops who are like arresting people running businesses or seizing weapons aren't breaking the law. Or those that would defend Bill de Blasio's re-election campaign slogan painted on the street. Y'all are breaking the law as far as I'm concerned. But let's see what we got here. Some more super chats. We'll jump back to the start. Stephen Grimmett says, today was a rough day, but this podcast is the only thing I can look forward to. Thanks for all you do and keep up the great work. Hey, man, really appreciate it. We try our best. And we got 41,000 likes. That's crazy. Y'all are awesome.
I've been spouting in the chat like only this much more for the MAGA beanie.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
Were you telling people to share?
Oh, not today. I wasn't spamming the share. That was the other day. We hit 62,000 people. It was crazy. Crazy numbers.
Andrew says, much as I hate to put any money through YouTube, I need you to know how hype I was when you said you were taking a legal direction on the fact check you got hit with beanie lawsuit. Well, yeah, definitely. I've already had a conversation with some, I'll keep it vague, with some people in the legal profession. We'll see how it plays out.
Well, and also you are planning on starting your own fact-checking business. So you actually will be able to, I'm looking forward to it.
I would love to write an article right now saying hoax alert. Yeah. This article from this website is fake news, and here's why.
Yep.
He made an assumption and added context to a post that I never said.
Yep.
And then he claimed it was false. I'm like, bro, you're claiming your own claim is false. I never said that.
Yeah.
Your article actually proves me right.
Yeah.
And then you're mad at my opinion when I said the news should cover this?
Right.
That's my opinion, dude. I think the news should cover it.
I was actually in the room when the conversation was going down. It was quite amusing.
The dude was yelling.
I could
hear him. He was like, rah, 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 and I'm
I
like,
was on the other
down,
side of the studio over there,
down.
and I can hear it.
Calm down, guy. Calm down.
It was embarrassing.
Nuts, man. And Facebook gives them the power? Well, Facebook published a message, and I'm upset about it. Jacob says, Tim, did you see that Facebook has labeled your status about Epstein and an unnamed former president false, effectively calling you a liar? That's exactly what we were just talking about. Yes, I did. And it's fake news. My post is factually correct.
And he's bringing the hammer down.
Bill Clinton was recorded in the flight logs, and he was ID'd by a victim. And the argument the guy had was, but that news came out a long time ago. And I said, and the court documents just got released. And so my opinion is that the news organizations should have covered it. Is my opinion wrong? Fine. It's an opinion. You're fact-checking my opinion? You're crazy. Kevin McCarthy says, Adam is wearing a MAGA t-shirt under there. Tim can't keep the MAGA down.
No, I'm not wearing any t-shirt under this, actually.
It's just a sweater. Chris Lord, thanks for the super chat.
Hangover gang.
Exiled Devil says, I think the reason the media and Dems keep saying protest is so when the Dems have full control, they can use all of it as an example to outlaw protests. Use fake news to control freedom of the press. They want their rights, not ours. Interesting. Kane Bizarro says, hey everybody, a few nights ago found this YouTuber Portland Andy. I saw all video on Chicago and Portland live. I know you have your sources, but just another spot to see it before cable news. Twist the info. And can you spin it, Adam?
Definitely. All right. I did just spin it for a random chat member, but I will spin it again gladly.
Nate Bama says, Adam, this money is for you to watch 2 videos of Chris Ann Hall. She teaches the most important information Americans can learn. She teaches the Constitution from the founder's point of view. Interesting. It's interesting. Basicon says, saw a Biden campaign that said if elected, Biden would do all the things President Trump has already done, such as money for historically black colleges, incentives for black-owned businesses. They're actually copying him now.
Build back better.
Yeah, build back better.
I told you they're trying to be Trump because
it's cringe.
They're catering. They're trying to cater to all sides, and it's not going to work.
I'll tell you what. I can at least give him credit for doing that because I said before that I've said this. They're just too late to the party.
Yep.
That when Trump came out as with moderate policies, a lot of it aligned with Bernie Sanders, like the trade stuff and borders. Although Bernie Sanders flip-flopped.
Yeah.
It put the Democrats in a difficult position because these are the populist positions. So they naturally had to align against him, making them elitist.
Yeah.
Vox.com said the Democrats had become the party of the ultra wealthy. So in their opposition to Trump, they became the party of the elites. Now they're desperate to try and come back. Well, I don't think it's going to work because I'm not buying it. Mm-hmm. Underground Living says, hey, Tim, I just moved into a nuclear underground bunker built by the government in the 60s, and we will be building a broad podcasting studio, middle of nowhere. You guys are welcome to join.
Maybe
cool. Time to get out of town. Well, I'll tell you what.
Cool.
When the nukes are a-flying, we'll hit you up first.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him to build a bunker in the base in the backyard.
Well, now that you've said it, everyone's going to know.
Yeah, whatever. These are our homies. We're good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, they don't know where we're going to be.
Top secret. Mike E says, the way you vote in MA is you walk in, give your street address, and they ask you your name. No ID needed. They also don't hide the book with all the names and addresses they used to verify. Wow, man. That's great. Gotta love it.
Yep.
Vapor Trail says, conservatism, protecting that which is valuable and good. Liberalism, government should leave people alone as much as possible. Progressivism, humanity can achieve utopia through science. Communism, fascism, and Nazism are all forms of progressivism. Interesting. Actually, I don't think Nazism is. No, that's not true. Actually, they're Nazism and fascism were traditionalist. That's the distinction between the authoritarianism of both, communism and fascism. Let's see. Living Proof says Biden would be King Boomy from Avatar, appears old and weak and crazy, but is a ripped beast earthbender. Well, that's the joke assumption we could make.
I think it'd be hilarious. I know that reference because I think you were watching. I saw it when he freed himself from an island or something, and
from he was locked in. I don't remember.
Case. Yeah, but he's like that old dude, and just got everyone all out. Yeah, that was entertaining, that scene.
Val Eris says, "Great work, you three. Growing up on a farm in Jamaica in the 80s, running water and electricity was a privilege, luxury, whatever you call it. Every person in USA are more privileged than I will ever be, and they are wasting this gift. You know it."
Yes, they are.
Absolutely, man. Your favorite sociologist says, I lived in a primitive village without modernity. Hot shower equals big luxury. These kids would freak at the reality and pure indigenous culture. I invite you to come next year and film the biggest ceremony in the island's history.
Cool.
Well, it would be great. I work too much, but I think I think it's hilarious. These people probably can't handle a cold shower.
I could use a vacation.
Yeah? Well, you might as well. Russ says, Tim, definition of libel. The legally indefensible publication or broadcast of words or images that are degrading to a person or injurious to his or her reputation. Does Facebook fact-checking meet it? Yes, and my understanding is when it comes to public figures and defamation and libel cases, there's a requirement based on a ruling, Times v. Sullivan, that says there has to be what's called actual malice. That means that the individual who wrote the false information knew what they were writing was false. This is fascinating when it pertains to me because in the instance of the fact check, they put a label on my post claiming it was false information, which hurts my reputation, claiming I published something that wasn't true. They then go on to write an article claiming everything I said was in fact true and something else unrelated was false, therefore proving that they knew what I wrote was true and decided to defame me or libel me anyway. What's interesting about it is I think the individual was angry that I said journalism is dead. They're just political advocacy groups. And I think it was actual malice and literal malice. I think it was a guy who was mad at me and felt insulted. So he decided to smear through this method where he added context that wasn't in my post and then claimed I lied, which proves he knew what he was saying was false. He was personally slighted by what I said, and then went on to prove that he knew what I said was false. This is going to be a really interesting issue, and I've already asked them to retract. We'll see if they do. If not, I don't know. We'll see how this plays
Drop
out.
The hammer, man.
I don't play around.
Drop that hammer.
Listen.
Oh yes.
I made the
Drop
post.
the hammer like they smashed the like button, right? Come on, they all will love it.
I made this post. I'm precise in my words. I've deleted tweets when I felt they were imprecise, and I've apologized in certain areas where I'm like, oop, that one was bad. This one I specifically said he was recorded in flight logs. I did not say the flight log said he went anywhere. The point I was trying to make is that he is connected to this man and now had been ID'd by a victim, and it was true.
Yep.
The argument I guess the guy has was, he said, well, you said now. And I'm like, right, because the documents just came out. But the documents were several years old.
Okay.
And I was like, it's irrelevant. What I said was true, right? He was ID'd by a victim?
Yeah.
Okay, end of story. Sejong the Great says, it was Reagan who said it. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction.
Thank you.
It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Spin that NEO, was it near Earth object?
That's correct.
And thanks for all the fish. The fish?
That's
That's from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
There it is.
Ah, interesting.
That's such a good song too. It's gonna be in my head.
John Kerner says. What is it? Oh,
that's the song. The intro song is when the dolphins are like, "Bye, thanks for all the fish," and they all fly away from Earth.
Thanks for all the fish.
So good.
John
thanks
Kerner.
for all the fish.
John Kerner says, hey, Tim, big fan of your work. My best friend and I watch your live stream at the same time across the country. Please tell my friend Justin better register to vote and beat Sekiro.
Yo.
You
better. I actually have to beat that game too, so I can't really talk. But you better register to vote.
I got a couple messages. I got a couple messages for everybody. This is very important. Everybody, stick around. This is important. I got a message. I periodically get messages from people. They're high profile. Many famous individuals. I'm not going to say their names. That's the point. They tell me that they support Trump or that they oppose the far leftist stuff. It's very common to hear from a celebrity in LA say something like they really don't like him, but they think he's our only hope and stuff like that. And they say they're too scared to speak up. And I can respect that to a certain degree. You know, I understand these people work for companies where they'll lose their jobs. If they come out and they say, here's what I believe and here's what I'm doing, they could get blacklisted from the industry. So I want all of you who feel that way to listen to this. If you really feel this way about Trump and you're scared to speak up, then I want you to know that come the results of the election, when he loses, it will be because you did not speak up. And you need to decide what you think is more important, your current job or the future of this country. And I'm being fair. You may believe that your safety, your security is paramount, and I can respect that. But I think it's going to be, I was thinking about all of these people who have told me these things, how much influence they have and how scared they are. And the reason why they want you to be scared is so that you won't campaign on behalf of the ideas you support. So you won't tell those who would look up to you. And we've all seen what they've done to Kanye West, but a lot of people look up to him and they've listened to him when he said, here's what he believes in. A lot of people are scared. I can't imagine what it would feel like come November 4th or December 1st, whenever we get the results. And it turns out your ideas lost, the things you oppose won, and now you will have to continue living in fear forever because you couldn't speak up now. That's the important thing I think people need to realize. It may be this is your only chance, and it is on you to speak up now at great personal risk to your job, to your career, to your family. I totally get it. But if you think it really is that bad and you've had enough and you can't speak up, then why would you think anyone else could? And who's going to get the back of the president if not you? So I worry about what's going to happen, but that's it.
On that note, Trump 2020, baby. I believe it. I'm going to vote for him. I can't wait to vote for him.
There have been a bunch of funny memes.
I can't wait.
A bunch of funny memes about me. My favorite is the one where the little kid is with the mom and she says, no, Timmy, don't look. I don't want you to be. And then it's a picture of me reading the Donald.
Yeah.
And then it's it's too late, mother. I've seen everything. Listen, man, I've seen all this stuff for a long time. And my vision of a great president is, for a lot of reasons, not Donald Trump. However, right now, it's not about what my personal opinion is on what the president is. It's about what Joe Biden represents. And it's about what Donald Trump is trying to do. And all I can really say is, from one position, when I see my friends advocating for white collective racial awakenings,
craziness.
I'm absolutely terrified by that.
Yep.
And so I'm like, if that means I vote for Trump to put a stop to that, I guess that's what's going to happen. But like I say, there's a lot that can happen from now until election night. We'll see how it plays out, but that's probably what's going to be. Same is true for many Republicans, but I don't like the Republicans, and I don't think Trump is a Republican. But you've heard it from me, man. You know, I took a great risk quitting from jumping out of the news industry, refusing to play their game. I could have done everything they asked, played the SJW game, did all the campaign BS, taken the money, and it was a lot of money, and I didn't want to do it. So it's up to you now. What's more important to you? Staying quiet and crossing your fingers that other people will be there to defend you, or standing up for what you believe in, pushing back because this may be your last shot at it. With that being said, make sure you follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Parler at Timcast. And there's one other very important thing you can do. You can go to timcast.net, and that will automatically link you to my main YouTube channel. I am very close to breaking 1 million subscribers. And I'd really like to make 1 million subscribers before they ban me. So I could use your help, if you're not already subscribed, to go to timcast.net and do so. And don't forget, you can follow at Adam Krigler, Twitter, Instagram, Parler as well. And of course, at Sour Patch Lids, our wonderful producer. And that's LYDS.
Yep.
Yes. And we'll be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. as per usual. You guys are amazing, man. We got 44,000 likes, 50,000 concurrent viewers. So I'll just say this. Look, do what you got to do to survive, because I know at the end of the day, we're all people who are going to farm, fish, adventure, and do what we have to make it through all this craziness. And I think most of you will do the same too. For me, maybe it's easier for me because I'd rather farm. I'd rather take a van down by the river, go fishing, than ever live on my knees. So, you guys figure out what you want to do. But we're entering crazy territory with riots. The election is, like 80 something days away. It's going to be a crazy one. But thanks for hanging out. We got a lot of people, and we'll be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. I don't know if you guys want to say anything before we wrap up.
Good night, everybody.
We will see you all tomorrow at 8 live.
Bye, guys.